Chapter 1264. It's quite human-like. After all, I've been using my head alone for almost 4 months. Although my body is mine, I've gotten used to the zombie body during this period of time. It's more or less a little uncomfortable when I retrieve my body. Outside of the discomfort of the sense of gravity, Han Dong forgot to breathe during the initial stage of retrieving his body until the emergency notification came from his brain due to lack of oxygen. It was only after 5 minutes of spontaneous breathing that Han Dong slowly returned to his normal breathing state. That's true. I didn't expect my body to take so long to adapt. Let's try the floating corpse pearl. According to the description of the pearl, it should include 1. The original inheritance left by the floating corpse deity Murals. 2. Since this pearl was dropped by Grand Scholar Du, it should also store his relevant experience. 3. According to the description of the pearl, my experience of practicing the floating corpse internal sutra is also stored in it. The combination of the 3 should be able to introduce a complete floating corpse attribute. Although it's best to have a zombie body, the Black Vortex torso's super adaptability should be able to accept it. However, I don't want to use the floating corpse attribute as my main attribute. It's best to use it as a supplementary attribute to complement the Black Vortex torso. Let's try it. If I can combine them in advance, it will be helpful for the next door opening. In fact, Han Dong still didn't know when the door opening would begin under the fate system. Using the zombie as a reference, when he reached the core condensation state through self-cultivation, his consciousness would automatically leave his body and go to the door of truth area where countless coffins were piled up. For a more complete and detailed system like the fate system, Han Dong didn't know how to go to the door opening area. Maybe he would immediately arrive in front of a door of truth after receiving and distributing the 5 points. It was also possible that it had nothing to do with the distribution of the talent points. Han Dong could freely choose the time to open the door. I still remember the Prometheus incident. Novikov from Alongdu Allele's team entered the fate system as a grade 5 engineer. His talent tree was completely full, but he couldn't obtain any talent points. His purpose of going to Prometheus was to use the xenomorph to complete his perfect body and open the door opening in the most perfect state. It seems that the fate system's door opening time can be freely chosen. It won't directly pull me to the door of truth after receiving the 5 points. No matter what, let's try to receive the inheritance first. Han Dong took off his shirt, completely exposing his torso. The black vortex on the surface of the torso began to rotate, and at the center of the vortex, there was an embedded interface corresponding to the size of the bead. This was the effect of adaptability. The black vortex torso could sense the consciousness and thoughts of the host. Knowing that Han Dong was going to accept the bead, it automatically opened an interface at the vortex. Then, he threw the bead into it. Immediately, a few nerve tentacles grew out of his body and began to adaptively connect with the pearl. The roots of the nerve tentacles were naturally connected to Han Dong's brain. The murals related to the origin of the tomb were clearly imprinted in his mind. Unbelievable, the origin of a middle-level world can actually involve such profound and long-developed skills. According to the inheritance content recorded in the murals, even if I cultivate to the level of Black Zombie through the Floating Corpse Internal Sutra, it is only the basic entry. The end of the Floating Corpse path should correspond to the Old King level. Such a mantra was definitely not inferior to the Grave Lord's World Annihilation Corpse scripture. However, the path I cultivate is not the zombie path. Even if this path can support me to create a myth and be crowned as king, I still have a long way to go. Let's try to combine with the torso. Han Dong sat cross-legged, and the black vortex on the surface of the torso rotated at a uniform speed. It was different from cultivation. This time, it was a simple ingestion. Unknowingly, Han Dong, who had retrieved his body, floated up like before when he cultivated the Floating Corpse Internal Sutra. The external adaptability of his body was increasing. A more advanced dissipation technique had been learned by the torso, and it could be used in any battle. During the acceptance process, the bead connected to the body was also slowly digested. Even the hard components of the bead were absorbed by the black vortex torso to ensure that the inheritance acceptance rate was 100%. Just as the digestion was completed, there was a prompt from the brain's detection mechanism. The individual's assembled torso body of uncontrollable Pennywise has been upgraded. The details are as follows. Body of uncontrollable Pennywise. Name is shown in pink font. Integrity. 100% quality. Unique plus. Epic minus. Body quality from low to high is as follows. Gray rough. White common. Green good. Blue rare. Purple unique. Pink epic. Gold legendary. Dark gold empire. Weight requirement. 150 points. Basic attributes. Torso capacity. No change. Hardness. C-. No change. Toughness. B+. Toughness. S-. Adaptability. S+. Reach the highest. Value. No change. Characteristics. 100 treasures. Body details. Omitted. Related description in the last chapter of the clown. Effect. The adaptability of the torso is the highest. S+. After the main body is grafted, there will be no rejection reaction. Moreover, once the torso is grafted, it can perfectly adapt to the other limbs. Magic circuits, dantian, flesh arrangement, and other structures that exist in the torso will be optimized adaptively. Tagline. Everything is inclusive too. Insane laughter effect. The individual can achieve self-protection and external invasion through insane laughter, planting the concept of clown in the consciousness of others. 3. New characteristics. Floating effect. The basic attribute. Toughness is greatly increased. The individual has learned the related skills of floating corpse internal sutra, corresponding to the level. At the same time, due to the complete absorption of the inheritance material, the effect of the characteristics will be magnified with the growth of the individual's level. Corresponding level of the greatest buff, king, lower. Mutation characteristics, black vortex. The person who has been marked by the Black Tower has lost control of destiny, only effective on destiny creatures. Effect. When the individual enters the destiny space in the future, there will be an option to enter the Black Tower. Ha ha ha. The crazy laughter echoed in the settlement room. Just as he thought, the floating corpse internal sutra had been successfully integrated into the black vortex torso as a support characteristic, and it would not affect the development of the main body. At the same time, the 1-hour cool-down time quickly passed. Special Mission Tomb has been completed. The relevant data has been uploaded to the Black Tower and has passed the management's review. Now calculating the rewards. Duration, 119 days, 7 hours. Progress, world investigation, 80% good. Clearance of out of control, 100% excellent. Individual infection or out of control, 0%. Not affected by any out of control. Reward. Although the source of the out of control was not killed or captured alive, it was eliminated through its own means, allowing the tomb world to return to the control of the Black Tower. According to the discussion among the higher-ups, the highest reward will be given. Talent points x2, destiny points x1000. One set of legendary materials can be applied for. Asterisk, you have passed the internship assessment. Please go to any Black Tower management organization for the official promotion ceremony. Chapter 1265. You need to submit an application to the Black Tower for the legendary material reward. The warehouse auditor will find the 3 most suitable materials for you to choose from based on the contents of the application form. Please go to any office to fill in the application form after settlement. The review process usually takes 2 to 3 days. Please wait patiently. The highest reward. It seems that the person in charge of reviewing the reward must be Senior M. My actions in Tomb would only require a little investigation to discover that I'm doing bad things behind the Black Tower's back. This is the best solution. It's much more rewarding than leaving Mount Moon Goddess directly. 1 set of legendary materials. I've never owned a legendary item before. Han Dong thought of the only legendary item he had ever come into contact with. It was the stone spear used by the fifth origin, Eugenus, when he was chased by the Shugas in the Antarctic. The stone spear must have originated from the world cataclysm in the last era and was lost in the Antarctic. The price for this weapon was probably all the venerables of the ancients, although he was very interested in the legendary material he was about to obtain. But currently, Han Dong was most concerned about the allocation of talent points. Talent points X2 was successfully obtained. Once the allocation was completed, the talent tree would reach a state of saturation. The center of the settlement space had already projected the smiling tree in Han Dong's head through a three-dimensional projection. Looking up slowly along the lowest part of the tree trunk, Han Dong had unlocked 3 slots that reached the unknown middle of the tree trunk. From bottom to top, they were Tier 1, Dark Knowledge's Corresponding System, Dark Magic Tier 2, Tentacle Lover's Corresponding System, Faceless Myth Tier 3, Solitary Performer's Corresponding System, Mad Laughter Journey. With the 2 talent points obtained from this mission, the 2 slots above the 3rd tier were unlocked and could be allocated. As his finger touched the 4th tier, the powerful and tempting talent was presented in front of Han Dong's eyes through a text projection. It was an external manifestation of the Fate System's guidance on the growth of an individual. Faceless Myth, Tier 4, Chaos Demon Feast. Whenever there is a total solar eclipse somewhere, a black man will descend from the chaos and hold a magical banquet in a secret area of the place. Those who attend the banquet will either degenerate and become food for the banquet, or completely assimilate into the banquet and become a guest. They might even have the chance to travel with the banquet's host in the darkness of chaos and obtain eternal life. Effect: this talent is an active skill. At the same time, it requires the individual to have sovereignty over the space. Land deeds, nodes, or world shares are acceptable. Hold a demon banquet in your territory to increase the basic attributes of allies of the same type by 20%. As the host of the banquet, the individual's overall strength would increase according to the number of guests. Duration of the demonic feast, 1 hour. Duration of buff, 3 hours. Cooldown 1 day. Dark Magic, Tier 4. An incisive sound. Rumor has it that in the city library of the Dark World, there is an ordinary scribe who is born without magic and is unable to use any magic. His daily job was to copy the entire collection of books here using his best skill, copying, to replace the real books on the bookshelves in order to prevent theft. The person who borrowed the book could also read the contents of the copy and decide whether to use their precious contribution points to exchange for the real book. One day, the city was invaded on a large scale, and the city's defenders were defeated. Just as the invaders broke into the library, all of them died without exception. The dark magic energy erupting from the inside of the library forced the invading army to retreat and finally gave up on the siege plan. The person who made such a great contribution was the scribe who did not have magic. Because of his love for work, he copied the essence of the dark book on his skin with his skin as the page and flesh as the source, and became the world's first engraver. Effect: the essence of any dark book can be quickly extracted. Once deliberately placed on the surface of the skin, it can quickly release dark magic with a full chanting effect through engraving. This effect can also be drunk on forbidden spells. Engraving dark words on the surface of the body will increase the physical burden. Crazy Laughter Journey, Tier 4, You're Crazy About Learning. A psychology professor from a well-known university mentioned to the school one day that he would open a new elective course, Crazy Learning. He also provided a large number of self-compiled teaching materials and qualified review materials. When the Crazy Learning elective course was carried out in an experimental manner, a large number of students signed up because of the professor's high reputation. On the day the class ended, there was a large-scale massacre in the school. Nearly half of the teachers and students were involved in it. The ones who caused the massacre were the students who signed up for the elective class Crazy Learning. The teacher also disappeared after the incident. Effect: 1. Learning of insanity-related abilities and knowledge plus 30%. 2. Relevant behavior of an individual will bring a strong influence of insanity to the surrounding individuals. Crazy laughter level +1. Staring at the option of the fourth tier, Han Dong looked helpless. It's like this again. This makes it difficult for me to choose. It's the first time I've seen an active skill talent, and it's a group buff. Once I hold the Devil's Banquet in the manner, the overall strength will be improved, and I will be strengthened twice. But Han Dong gritted his teeth. His finger that was about to fall on the Devil's Banquet turned to another button. Tier 4. Crazy learning. The moment the allocation was completed, Han Dong had a familiar and strange feeling. It was similar to the feeling of staying in Crazy Devil Grimm's body and facing the forbidden door. Following the allocation of the fourth tier, a guiding line on the trunk continued to extend upward to the fifth tier, which was also the final tier. The above content directly stunned Han Dong on the spot. Faceless Myth, Tier 5. Borrow the God. Faceless. You once remembered the distant Yog star, the even more distant Shagai star, and the ultimate chaos that encompassed the Black Planet. He is a walker from the final abyss. He has 1,000 appearances. He will be covered under a long robe and descend in the land of 7 suns. Effect. This talent is an active skill. The avatar of the faceless god, randomly selected, will be attached to an individual, giving them incomparably powerful strength without affecting the individual's main consciousness. The duration is related to the individual's state, level, and physical endurance. Each use requires a self-sacrifice. The sacrifice process will cause a huge amount of damage to the individual and consume more than 50% of energy. Mythical Perception +30%. Dark Magic, Tier 5. Embrace death. A true necromancer will try different ways of dying as they grow up. At the same time, they will carefully observe the person who is about to die. They usually have a book of death, which records their own death experiences in detail, as well as thousands of other death experiences from others. In the end, they will choose the most perfect way to embrace death. Effect 1. Death effects and learning efficiency +30%. Perception, including mythical structure, +10% too, can absorb death energy from the person who is about to die for their own use to strengthen magic effects or use it to level up. Mad Laughter Journey, Tier 5. I have an insane asylum. I run an insane asylum that covers the whole world, Arkham. There is a shortcut to Arkham Asylum anywhere in the world. It may be at the end of the dirtiest and most smelly street. It may be an inconspicuous passage in a top art gallery. It may even be in a mental ward behind a chalk door drawn by a patient. It may even be hidden in your closet. Effect 1. Crazy affinity greatly increased. The individual will have an irresistible attraction to crazy-related individuals. 2. Mad Laughter Infection Efficiency +30%. The connection to the infected person's consciousness will be permanent. Chapter 1266. How should I choose? The talent of the 5th level felt stronger and more functional than the previous levels. At the same time, it also gave Han Dong an extremely difficult choice. No matter what choice he made, he would regret it. Once you learn soul borrowing, you'll be able to fight even against a mythical body. The increase in individual combat power is unimaginable. Moreover, the Black Vortex torso that has just been upgraded to epic quality can also be compatible with the effect of spirit borrowing. It can reduce the damage to the body to a minimum. What's even more exaggerated is that it provides an additional 30% mythical understanding. The progress of the hybrid demon world has reached a late stage. A large-scale war across dimensions and a true world disaster may descend at any time. Such an increase in understanding can accelerate the speed of my mythical creation. It might even help me perfect my mythical system. Embrace of death greatly increases death-related abilities. At the same time, it can also increase mythical understanding by 10%. At the same time, it can also speed up the energy acquisition and understanding through the dead. It will be very useful on a large-scale battlefield. It can also greatly improve the Pharaoh's clone that I left in Prometheus. As for the Asylum, if this effect is combined with the 4th level of Madness Learning, it will definitely be a disastrous special effect. The entire manor will go crazy, or will it be a worldwide madness infection? I should be regarded as a rampager by the Black Tower, who is more dangerous than the clown. But this ability comes from the fate system, which means that it should be recognized by the Black Tower. This is very contradictory. Could it be a conspiracy theory formed in Han Dong's mind? The asylum is obviously biased towards group infection, similar to most of the individuals defined as rampagers by the Black Tower. If the Black Tower wants to restrict me, the system here should strictly prohibit me from choosing the asylum. But in reality, it doesn't. The hybrid demon world has never been controlled by the Black Tower. In other words, the rate of loss of control is 100%. No matter how I affect the hybrid demon world through the mad laughter infection, the Black Tower doesn't care. When a large number of hybrid demons are infected by me, it is a good thing for the Black Tower. The Black Tower can use me as a middleman to change the hybrid demon world. Thinking of this, Han Dong threw a question to the system. Excuse me, in the summary of I have a madhouse, the connection to the infected person's consciousness will be permanent. What does that mean? Is there a master-servant relationship between me and the infected? What kind of connection and communication can it achieve? The fate system immediately provided a detailed explanation. Frowny face. Let me first explain the concepts of two terms. Frowny face infected. An individual who has been infected by the mad laughter and whose consciousness has reached 30% or more. Permanent connection. The infected will create a one-way channel to your consciousness at the level of your thoughts. Your consciousness is like a madhouse. They can only enter but not leave. The infected can also infect other life forms through low-level mad laughter, but all of the infected will be connected to your body of consciousness, and you will be the center. You can monitor them at any time, but you can't control them. When you die, you can be reborn through any 100% infected by the mad laughter infection. Han Dong fell into deep thought. Although this ability was very powerful, it also had a strong aura of conspiracy. It made Han Dong feel uncomfortable, as if he was a pawn of the Black Tower. At the same time, it was also the point that made Han Dong the most unhappy. Rebirth. This ability would make Han Dong not much different from the clown, Pennywise. He might even slowly evolve into a second, more perfect clown. This went against Han Dong's original belief in killing the clown. Han Dong also had a firm belief. Frowny face. I have already obtained a chance to completely restart. If I can't even grasp this opportunity, I will still fail even after countless rebirths. My mad laughter is unique. Mad laughter will increase my ability and the level of the mad laughter. It is already very powerful for an individual. There is no need to turn myself into a source of infection. Give up on the madhouse. But before he made the final decision, Han Dong tried to make a request to the system. Can I try out God, faceless, and embrace death? The choice of talent is very important. I can't make a judgment through the description. To Han Dong's surprise, the system's answer was very simple. Yes, but you will need to pay the corresponding talent usage fee. 50 points per try. That cheap? Han Dong, who had just received 1,000 points, was very firm in his words. After he paid 100 points, a familiar metal chair appeared in front of Han Dong. Before the seed was hatched, the fate points were distributed through injections into the head to increase the level of the seed. Currently, 2 syringes filled with viscous liquid were hanging behind the chair. Through injections, Han Dong will temporarily obtain 2 talents. The duration will last for half an hour. Crack! When he sat on the chair, tight metal rings wrapped around Han Dong's body. It felt like he was being made into a metal mummy. The talent experience will be carried out through consciousness simulation to ensure the stability of your external state. A stabilizer will be injected into your body first, followed by 2 experiential talent potions. If you are unwilling to accept the stabilizer injection, the experiment will be stopped and the points will be returned in full. Come on. Accompanied by a sharp pain in his lumbar spine, some kind of liquid had been injected into the spine, instantly depriving the body of control. At the same time, Han Dong's consciousness was led to an open space. There were a large number of consciousness life forms used for simulation exercises, which could be used for any form of battle. Immediately after, 2 syringes were injected into the back of the head. The experience began. Half an hour passed. Settlement space. The metal chair used to bind him was shattered and even scattered in every corner of the settlement space. It was like a powerful explosion had occurred. Every piece of scattered metal was severely distorted. Even if the chair was completely broken, Han Dong still maintained a sitting posture. Bursts of turbid steam continued to rise from the surface of his body. It was completely unclear what happened in the simulation of consciousness. Warning! Warning! Due to the detection of an uncontrollable dangerous situation that could lead to the collapse of the settlement space, the system has forcibly interrupted the process of consciousness simulation. To express our apologies, the center of the room will provide free, healing divine water. Please drink it yourself. When he opened his eyes again, Han Dong stood up with a difficult posture and slowly leaned toward the central area. He did not drink the healing divine water, but chose his talent points. Han Dong seemed to still be immersed in the wonderful state of experience and wanted to take this opportunity to allocate the selected talent in his heart. 5th floor, borrowed god, faceless. When the selection was completed, squeak, 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 a madly twisting tentacle rushed out from the back of the head and wrapped Han Dong's entire head in reverse. The body floated up in this process. The turbid steam overflowed from the surface of the body and constructed a chaos star map at the top. Chapter 1267. The tentacles continued to wrap around the entire head. Using this method to upgrade his brain allowed Han Dong to establish a connection with the abyss of chaos on the other side of the darkness, allowing him to use spirit borrowing at any time. After 10 minutes, the tentacles slowly retracted back into his brain. The first thing Han Dong did when he reopened his eyes was to drink the holy water of healing provided by the Fate system. He used it to recover the mental energy he had used during the test. This is not just borrowing, but an amplification of one's own strength. It is not purely borrowing external forces and abandoning oneself. It is through the channel provided by the spirit borrowing ability to borrow a stance from a certain god. More importantly, how to control this stance with one's own body, the strength of one's consciousness, and the endurance of one's body will determine the strength and duration of the spirit borrowing ability. At the same time, through this method, the mythological insights will definitely allow me to go further when I open the door. This ability will allow me to occupy a key position in the London game and lay an important foundation for the negotiations between humans. Han Dong made a prompt decision when he understood the essence of spirit borrowing during the test. Although it was a pity to give up on black magic related to death, spirit borrowing was definitely the best option. After Han Dong had fully adapted to the changes brought about by the 5th level of his talent, a notification came from the Fate system. Frowny face detected that the individual has achieved the distribution of 5 points of talent. The talent tree has reached a state of saturation. The application to open the door is allowed. Application to open the door? Han Dong was a little surprised. He did not expect to have to write an application to upgrade the Fate system. Opening the door is an important step for an individual to comprehend, read, and come into contact with the rules. Because opening the door is inseparable from an individual's growth experience. Compared to an individual who cultivates, levels, or grows in a single world system, a participant of Fate has the experience of multiple worlds. Thus, they are also known as multiple individuals. Multiple individuals will be different when opening the door. Whether it is the complexity, difficulty, or depth of the process, will be greater or even much. Therefore, the Fate system will guide the individual appropriately, ensuring that the individual is in the best state before opening the door, thus reducing the probability of failure. You are now an employee of the Black Tower. Please submit the application to the Black Tower after you have made the necessary preparations. The Black Tower will conduct a comprehensive examination for you and provide the best conditions for opening the door according to your real Fate experience. Of course, the process of opening the door will be completed by you alone. Oh, okay. Such an answer contained an extremely important keyword: multiple individuals. It reminded Han Dong of a scene when he opened the door as a zombie. At that time, including the Gate of Truth, all the environmental attributes were inseparable from the coffin, and all the themes revolved around zombies. Han Dong thought frowny-faced participants of Fate have matured after experiencing different worlds. They belong to a diverse group of individuals. The scene of the Gate of Truth should be a mixture of the various characteristics of the worlds they have experienced, and the truth should be more complex and profound. I really wonder what the Gate of Truth for me will be like. In Han Dong's mind, a scene similar to the opening of the amusement park of death appeared. Mummies, zombies, and all kinds of undead were indulging themselves on the roller coasters on both sides of the road. There was a bright red, smiley face painted on the door made of yellow sand. Of course, all of this was just Han Dong's conjecture. He still had to see it for himself. Fortunately, I can choose the time to open the door. This is the convenience of a mature and complete Fate system. I really don't have the confidence to open the door right now. It's best if I can get the experience of others in advance. At the same time, Han Dong also thought of who he could get to help with the physical examination. The relevant reward has been issued. The inventory will be closed in 30 seconds. Due to the completion of the Purge mission issued by the Black Tower, you will receive 1 week's stay in the Black Tower. Wait, my teammate who participated in Tomb with me, Professor Swollen, may apply for some technology transfer. If he doesn't have enough points, please deduct it from me. Detected that participant Professor Swollen does not have any debt. He has used the points rewarded by the mission to pay for the technology transfer. And it's fine. Han Dong was still very concerned about the transfer of zombie technology. This would greatly affect his manner. Whoosh! He returned to the Black Tower. What was different from before was that this time they didn't return to the square. Instead, he woke up in a cold and dark alley with a rag covering his body. He looked like a beggar who had just woken up. He stared at the strong neon lights in front of him, the dense and tall steel buildings, the transporter with a metal box embedded in its spine, and the Black Tower shelter that was located in the center of the city and had a height that was completely different from other buildings. Han Dong immediately figured out his location. I'm actually in the middle layer. That's right. I accepted the Purge mission here. Speaking of which, the middle layer doesn't allow subjective exploration. I won't get caught if I walk out like this, right? As soon as he finished speaking, a staff member wearing a whirlpool mask appeared at the entrance of the alley. An announcer's greeting came from under the mask. Congratulations, Mr. Han Dong, for completing the Purge mission. Please follow me back to the office hall on the ground floor to participate in the promotion ceremony. Okay, will the ceremony be complicated? It's just a symbolic employee badge and an employee handbook for you. It won't take too much time. Okay, unexpectedly, not long after Han Dong followed the guide out of the alley, ring, ring, ring. A shrill ringtone suddenly sounded from a roadside phone booth. This phone call was made to the guide in charge of Han Dong. Something strange happened. When the guide picked up the phone, a thin needle on the receiver pierced directly into the guide's brain. Through this special method, an absolutely confidential message was transmitted. After a special exchange, the guide returned to Han Dong's side and changed their original route. Due to orders from the higher-ups, the original plan has been canceled. Mr. Han Dong, please follow me. What about the promotion? Your official employee status has been recorded in the system in advance. As for the employee certificate and handbook, you just need to obtain them later. There are more important things waiting for you right now, so please follow me. Our following actions will be monitored by the Black Tower. Please do not do anything inappropriate. May I ask where we are going? There was no response. The guide moved forward at twice the speed. Han Dong had no choice but to keep up. After walking around for about 5 blocks, a building filled with the aura of futuristic technology stood in front of him. Through real-time projection technology, the front door of the building displayed 4 large words that moved rhythmically with soothing music. Fine Hotel. Chapter 1268. This hotel's location is very special. It is specially provided for high-level employees, management, or some special personnel. A certain person has appointed you to meet here. The relevant information has been entered into the hotel system. My responsibility is to send you here. Once you're done with your business in the hotel, I will continue to receive you in the middle layer. Okay, thank you. It's just work. Biden Hotel. Just as Han Dong stepped onto the stairs and arrived at the front door area, the inspection was completed. Han Dong, an official employee, has received special reception services from the Biden Hotel. Welcome to the hotel. Please follow the relevant instructions to the SVP room area where you have been invited. If you do not follow the instructions during this period, you will be permanently blacklisted and will not be able to enjoy any of the hotel services. The hotel will not be responsible if you are killed for breaking the rules and entering other people's rooms. The door opened. It didn't correspond to a resplendent hall or a cyberpunk-style technological passageway. Instead, it was an internal river built into the hotel. There were no lighting devices in the river. The only source of light was the neon lantern at the end of the small wooden boat under Han Dong's feet. Obviously, he needed to take this small wooden boat to the hotel's designated guest room. This was the first time Han Dong had experienced such a hotel operation. There wasn't even a waiter to guide him. Han Dong moved the paddle, allowing the wooden boat to sail in the river that was less than 10 meters wide. The neon light emitted by the lantern illuminated the words hidden on the river's walls, guiding Han Dong to the designated guest room. Choose the second fork on the left at the front door intersection. Choose the third fork on the right at the front door intersection. Following this guidance, Han Dong finally arrived at the other side. After parking the boat and going ashore, he saw a metal door made of unknown materials in front of him that could isolate all perception. The door number was SVP 4008. When Han Dong grabbed the door handle, the door was already unlocked. The interior corresponded to a room with 70% vegetation coverage, a fully intelligent AI service system, and a one-way panoramic glass wall. Standing by the window, Sherphone could immediately see the Black Tower's middle layer. The allocation of your talent points is very special. Compared to before and after the incident, you are like a completely different person. There is a powerful divinity hidden within. Hurry up and come over. I have to talk to you about Tomb and the Black Tower in advance. I've already made sure that there won't be any problems when the secret agents from the investigations office investigate you. The Biden Hotel places great importance on privacy, so it's the best place to talk. Senior, didn't you say that it would be a few days before we could meet? Han Dong was shocked. In front of the window at the front of the room stood a familiar man in a white suit. Holding a wine glass decorated with cherries, Sherphone gazed at the center of the middle layer, where the Black Tower shelter was located. What he needed to pay attention to was this meeting. This executive was not wearing a whirlpool mask, and his fluffy white hair was clearly visible. There's nothing I can do about it. There are a few old guys in the Black Tower who think that there's something fishy about this matter. They suspect that I'm involved in some illegal interference. They'll need to investigate for a while before they'll let me pass the review. I have to unify the statements with you in advance to ensure that there won't be any problems. If they find out that I'm involved, they won't dare to do anything to me. After all, no one in the Black Tower can take over my position. It's just a pity that the Tomb Lord's 100-year plan will be forcefully taken back by the Black Tower. Of course, I believe that you can do this well. When I met you on Moon Goddess Mountain, I already knew that you have a talent for acting. This is also the main reason why I'm willing to connect you with the Tomb Lord. Okay, I'll definitely cooperate. Han Dong stepped into the guest room and sat down on the ivy-covered sofa. The executive with the code name M also turned around, revealing a melancholy and exquisite middle-aged man's face. There was nothing special or mysterious about him. He was just an ordinary middle-aged man. A draft was handed to Han Dong. I'll give you half an hour to read this draft. After that, I'll pretend to be the investigations office to investigate you. If you can't pass my interrogation, then you definitely won't pass their in-depth investigation. Okay. Han Dong suddenly remembered a hint from the Bayan Hotel. Death here would not be held accountable. If he couldn't pass the test, he might be killed directly. Han Dong only spent 10 minutes to memorize the draft, but he still felt that it wasn't enough. The Black Tower's technology level was extremely high. It might not just be a verbal inquiry. The investigations office might examine his consciousness through equipment or a mental strength master. Thinking of this, Han Dong tampered with his brain memory according to the contents of the draft. Only a special brain like Han Dong's could do it. Are you done? Yes. Please proceed with the inquiry. Just as Han Dong expected, the executive didn't ask verbally. Instead, he placed his palm on his forehead. A white liquid immediately penetrated his scalp and wrapped around his brain to conduct a thought check. However, during the infiltration, the executive was repeatedly obstructed by a strong repulsive force. It took 3 times longer than usual, and he almost failed to read it. Self-memory tampering? I didn't misjudge you. Do you have a backup of your original memory? There's no need for a backup. Tampered memories won't affect my understanding of you or the Tomb Lord. It's just a change in the layer of memory. Not bad. The executive gave an extremely high evaluation and gave Han Dong absolute affirmation once again. In fact, the fact that he looked for Han Dong to explain the matter and gave him the file was already a kind of acknowledgement. Otherwise, if it was an ordinary employee involved in this matter, he would only need to kill them directly and all the risks would be eliminated. The executive's face was filled with a rare smile. Since there was still time, he talked about other things. Right? You also used the Tomb Lord's hand to strip the certificate from employee Yubo Ruefei, right? The certificate symbolizing the Black Vortex will be recognized by the Black Tower when you return and forced to hand it over. Did you hand it over? Facing an existence comparable to an old king, Han Dong naturally didn't dare to lie. I didn't receive any notification. I've always had it with me. You didn't? It seems like your brain can hide from basic detection. No wonder I had so many difficulties when reading your memories. The corresponding divinity inside seems to be on the same level as mine, or even more complicated. Speaking of which, this eye is very valuable. How do you plan to use it? I plan to try to integrate it into my visual system after opening the door. The executive hammered his palm. Right? You haven't opened the door yet. I forgot about this matter. After all, there are very few geniuses like you who have become a Black Tower employee before opening the door. Your main purpose for going to Tomb this time is to obtain talent points X2, right? You should have reached grade 5 now. What do you plan to open the door? Because there might be a dimensional war in my world, I need to open the door in the near future. Dimensional war? The executive immediately used his authority to check the database on the holographic projection watch. Oh, that's right. Saint World will carry out a large-scale invasion of your world. Will you participate directly? Yes. Then you have to hurry. If you don't open the door, it will be very difficult to survive. At this time, Han Dong chose to make a request that was commonly seen in Tomb. He lowered his head and cupped his fist as he made a request. I hope Senior M can guide me to open the door. This was exactly what Han Dong expected. Since he walked the path of fate, this executive of the Black Tower was undoubtedly the best candidate to guide him. You want me to guide you to open the door? Seeing that you've done well. All right. Chapter 1269. The executive looked at Han Dong from head to toe and remembered something. Right. I remember that your body was left outside of Tomb due to the repulsive effect of the world. Only your head was forced to squeeze in. You used a zombie's body to complete the relevant mission and open the door? Yes. Interesting. There are people like you who open the door in advance, but it's rare. This kind of practical experience can bring about a far better effect than a written explanation, but there are also drawbacks. The opening of the door corresponding to the fate system may be similar to the opening of the zombies that you've experienced, but the overall process will be very different. Don't apply the experience learned from the zombies to your opening of the door this time, or you'll definitely fail. Okay, I think the fate system should have mentioned the key words of opening the door when you were doing the calculations, right? Diversity is an advantage of the fate system, but it is also an uncontrollable factor. The advantage is that the participants have traveled to different worlds, and through the events of fate set by the Black Tower, they can touch and even affect the origin of the world. These diverse world experiences can allow the individual to reach a deeper level when opening the door. On the other hand, the door of truth corresponding to diverse individuals will be more complicated. If you are unlucky, there may even be interference during the opening of the door. The specific situation varies from person to person. Therefore, before opening the door, the Black Tower will give the employees the best conditions to maximize the success rate of opening the door. As a mentor, I will not conduct a systematic inspection like the Black Tower. Provide a comfortable environment and energy food. These will need to be done by yourself. I will arrange 3 things for you based on my experience. First, go to the world where you have obtained talent points. It is best if you can have a deeper interaction with the essence of the world or with the important individuals in the world. It will be best if you have a connection with those worlds. Of course, you don't have to go to Tomb. You have touched the core of the world and, at the same time, witnessed and helped the process of the world separation. Second, forget the memory of opening the door in Tomb. You're not allowed to force the memory to be erased through some means. You must forget it on your own. Third, meet me again after the above 2 points. I will give you a quick, one-on-one special training. My guidance will be over once the above 3 points are achieved. In the end, whether you can open the door or not depends on you. I still have things to deal with. If someone from the review hall comes looking for you, remember to deal with it normally. No problems are allowed. After saying that, a chip with the Otherworld symbol was delivered to Han Dong. This is the hotel's weekly card that I applied for at the last minute. Once it's embedded in your skin, the hotel will recognize it. 1 week should be enough for you to use. The hotel can provide you with all the services you want. Take your time to figure it out. I'll be leaving first. Thank you, Senior. I personally think highly of you. At the same time, I'm looking forward to the upcoming war in your world and your performance. Open the door seriously. Crack. The door closed, and Han Dong went to the window where the senior executive had been standing. He looked down at the city in the rainy night. Count, what do you think of this executive's attitude? It's strange. This Count didn't believe this guy at first. He even suspected that you would be tricked to death. Who would have thought that he would actually help you step by step to this point? This made this Count very puzzled. This guy should be one of the highest wills of the Black Tower. Since the Black Tower is opposing our world, why would he help you? If he wants to use you, he doesn't have to be so close. He himself is comparable to a superior existence. He only needs to give you a little favor or provide some kind of convenient relationship to achieve the same effect. M should be a very casual powerhouse. He will do things according to his heart. Just like his attitude toward a native like the Tomb Lord, he even secretly went against the Black Tower's laws to help. As you said, if he wants to use me, he doesn't have to be so close. This person can be trusted for the time being. At least he can help me a lot in opening the door. Aha. In fact, this Count is also looking forward to what your door will be like. My consciousness is tied to yours. Maybe I can follow you in and see the difference in the corresponding door of truth under this destiny system. You shouldn't be able to go. First, follow M's request and go to the world where you can get talent points in the past. I would have gone there before opening the door. These 2 worlds are very important to me. Formal employee, Han Dong. Confirmed. Shareholder of H9310 Special World. You can go to the corresponding world for free during your stay. The relevant teleportation channel is being built. Please follow me. During Han Dong's cleanup mission, the construction and stabilization of the advanced world had been completed in Ridley Town. Due to his special identity as a shareholder, Han Dong was brought to a special teleportation room. A perfectly scaled model of Dreary Town was placed in the center of the room. He could use the marked points on the model to perform fixed-point transmission. The size of the town seems to have expanded a lot, but the total number of residents is still at 99. The mayor's idea is still the same. He wants to take the path of absolute elites. There is only a week's time. I still have to consider the interaction with the SBHYNX cat clone. Let's go directly to the town hall. His finger moved from a morgue to the building of the town hall. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Han Dong had landed in the meeting room of the town hall. In an instant, countless hostile arms came from all directions. There was also a song that Han Dong didn't like. La la la. Clerk, it's me. Oh, isn't this Nicholas? Long time no see. Hundreds of palms overlapped like blooming flowers, and Clerk Funa's head slowly emerged from the center. Funa seemed to have more arms than before, to the point where the interior of the town hall was filled with her arms. Is the mayor here? You don't care about the construction of the town, and now you want to trouble the mayor. Don't you know that the mayor has a lot of things to deal with? At this moment, the mayor's voice came from the depths of the darkness. Do you need me to summon all 10 demons? Han Dong immediately responded to the source of the voice. I just need to talk to you, Mayor. This is indeed my personal matter. I'm sorry. Come, you seem to have grown a lot. As soon as the voice finished, a staircase filled with a strange aura formed under Han Dong's feet. This staircase led to the mayor's new office. When Funa saw this scene, her face was full of envy and even jealousy. Because of the tedious affairs of the town's expansion, she hadn't seen the mayor for a long time. Her applications were rejected several times. Now that she saw Han Dong could see the mayor like this, she felt very uncomfortable. Clerk Funa, do you want to come with me? The negative emotions in Funa's heart instantly dissipated. Listening to the mayor's tone, it shouldn't be a problem even if the 10 demons go together. Do you want to come? Okay. Funa's head was separated and fell to the ground. Let all the arms stay here to ensure the safety of the town hall. A few slender fingers grew out from the bottom of the clerk's head. They carried the head and followed Han Dong down to see the mayor. Thank you, Nicholas. We are friends. It's okay. Chapter 1270. The first thing the executive gave was to let Han Dong go to the Destiny world he had experienced and interact with it on a deeper level. For Reed Town, the mayor was the center of everything. All the residents were carefully selected by the mayor, so the deeper interaction naturally required contact with the mayor. Miss Funa, congratulations. You seem to have grown to a higher level. Han Dong stared at Funa's head that was crawling through his fingers. He could sense that Funa had completed the opening of her own door as Reed Town leveled up. Now, the entire town hall was made up of her arms. La la la, can you see it? I'm very powerful now. Do you want to fight with me later? No, I'm in a hurry. Next time, I have another problem here. The townspeople personally selected by the mayor had a common characteristic, potential. The townspeople with high potential gathered here for mutual benefit and could grow and level up together with Reed Town. Of course, there were townspeople who couldn't keep up with the town's development. The mayor would give them a certain amount of time to compensate. If they still couldn't keep up with the town's level, their resident card would be stripped. Then, the mayor would select new residents to fill the vacancy. Due to the uniqueness of Reed Town, there were naturally many people who wanted to come here. Thinking about it, many townspeople should have been eliminated in this large-scale upgrade. The mayor should be busy recruiting new residents during this period of time, right? Funa put a finger to her nose and shook her head. Not at all. The mayor temporarily left the elimination of the townspeople to me. As for the recruitment of new residents, the mayor is doing something more important. Something more important? Is it related to the throne corresponding to the high-level world? When Han Dong first came to Reed Town, he was still in the initial stage of the talent tree. At that time, Han Dong's concept of levels was very vague. He didn't even know the concept of atavistic body and mythical body. When he met the mayor, he only felt that the other party was unfathomable and couldn't estimate the relevant level. Now that he thought about it, since Reed Town was marked as special by the Black Tower, the town's restrictions might be different from other middle-level worlds. The mayor might have broken through the middle-level world's restrictions when he was managing Reed Town. Similar to the Tomb Lord, he was already a mythical body, or even the late stage of mythical body. Now, Ridley Town had been promoted. As an advanced world, it would also gain the right to be a king. Combined with the fact that the mayor had temporarily handed over the personnel management to Funa, it was very likely that he was already considering the matter of becoming a king. The further they went down the tunnel, the stronger the effect of the lightless domain became. Night vision was also useless here. He could only abandon his vision and move forward in the lightless domain through other senses. Lightless basement, through the feedback of perception, he could roughly obtain some basic information about the cellar. In the center of the hexagonal cellar, there was a well that led to an unknown place. Wait a moment, I'll withdraw my domain. Wherever the lightless domain reached, all light sources would be completely devoured. It could be seen as an advanced version of the darkness ability. The darkness returned like a tide to the well in the cellar. Immediately after, the mayor, who was wearing a black suit and whose face was completely covered by the lightless domain, floated out of the well. On his back, there were several swaying, tentacle-like black substances that seemed to be condensed from the lightless substances that had just been recovered. When Han Dong wanted to sneak a peek at the situation of the well, he found that the interior was an absolute lightless area. If he wanted to know what was below, he could only jump down and feel it himself. Obviously, the mayor was doing something related to himself. Han Dong had a new vision when he examined the mayor's level, but he frowned and still couldn't see through him. Is this the effect of the lightless domain? Even if I withdraw it back into my body, I can't see through the mayor at all. All the senses that spread in the past will be swallowed by the lightless. How terrifying! If the mayor was compared to a mythical body, it would definitely be the most terrifying mythical body Han Dong had ever seen. Mayor, I'm really sorry. I came here mainly for the door opening. Well, I can probably guess it. The multiplicity of the fate system will lead to more complicated individual door opening, and the failure rate will increase exponentially. You made the right choice to come to Ridley Town. As the starting point of your talent tree, this place will inevitably occupy an important position during the door opening period. Mayor, you even know this? What should I do? The main reason you are related to Ridley Town is Pennywise the Clown. When Ridley Town was upgraded, I deliberately kept the town circus where Pennywise used to work. You can go there and experience the life of a clown for a day. Thank you for your guidance, Mayor. If you have time, visit the neighborhood. After all, you're also a member of the town. Okay, Han Dong set aside 2 days. On the first day, he went to the circus. Unexpectedly, Han Dong's arrival was immediately warmly received by the circus. He was hailed as the Demon Slayer by the 4 townspeople who worked here. After all, it was Han Dong who killed the clown. With their help, Han Dong quickly integrated into the crowd. Through the makeup technique of Lady Melissa the Fingerbreaker, Han Dong stared at the extremely realistic clown makeup in the mirror. With the enlightenment brought by the madness learning talent, he immediately immersed himself in the madness of the clown form. He even acted in a small theater at night. Although there was only one audience, they also gave high praise to Han Dong's performance. During the day of immersing himself in the clown performance, Han Dong spent more than half of the time laughing strangely. A very strange feeling descended on Han Dong, and he obtained some kind of sublimation on the level of consciousness. After quitting his job on the second day, walking on the street, Han Dong would still cover his mouth and laugh crazily from time to time, and even make some incomprehensible funny movements. The strange laughter echoing in the streets frightened the townspeople who had been dominated by the clown. They thought Pennywise had returned. While slowly adjusting his state of mind, Han Dong placed the townspeople in front of each house. He drank a few large glasses of wheat beer filled with the smell of blood in the Ogre Club. He held Scarecrow Sam's little hand and strolled around the farm. He followed Dean Richard to hold a void ceremony in the hospital. Finally, he lay on a dissection table with Miss Jane in the morgue and spent the rest of his time. After such a visit, Han Dong regained the feeling he had when he first came to Draytown. At the same time, all the 10 demons and some existences second to the 10 demons, such as those in the Ogre Club, had opened their doors with the town's upgrade. He also learned an important piece of information from the chat with Miss Jane. The town's residents opened their doors with a dual nature. On the one hand, it was related to their own development system, and on the other hand, it was the influence of Draytown on them. It took 2 days. Although he was reluctant to leave the town, Han Dong decisively returned to the Black Tower. Official employee Han Dong, confirmed as the holder of the Prometheus world node. You can go to the corresponding world for free during your stay. The moment Han Dong returned to Chengdu as the holder of the world node, a large amount of memory data instantly flooded into his brain. The sudden influx of data was enough to make an ordinary person's brain explode. And in front of Han Dong's eyes, he was standing in front of a beautiful Egyptian princess who was dressed in gorgeous clothes. Han Dong felt weird being stared at like this, because the Egyptian princess was essentially himself. Chapter 1271. The perfectly replicated consciousness was implanted into the ownerless body for the management of the world node. This was a convenient management method provided by the Black Tower for the node holder. In addition to managing the node world, the clone would also carry out cultivation that matched the characteristics of a node world. When a main body descended into the node world, the clone's memories would all be transferred back to the main consciousness, including the experiences and insights over the years, and even some sensory memories. This was one of the benefits of having a node. It was equivalent to having a clone cultivating at the same time. Han Dong's situation was the same when he was involved in his own node. First, a large amount of memories surged into his brain, and the image of the Egyptian princess appeared in front of his eyes. Of course, only Han Dong's consciousness saw the princess. His main body had been isolated in the Black Tower's unique space. After the memories, experiences, insights, and various details were accepted, his consciousness descended on the clone. This feeling of accepting all of a person's experiences is amazing. The authority of the node is really convenient. This way, I don't need to go to God's capital to experience life. The real experience of 2 years is far more effective than cramming at the last minute. This feeling is like I've personally stayed in God's capital for 2 years, and I've done myself quite well. Not only did I restore God's capital to its original level in 2 years, but I also successfully moved the underworld to reality. Underworld. The Egyptian princess relied on her ancient Egyptian magic, undead attribute. Then, she used the underground area where the white giant's mother was imprisoned as the venue. She built a perfect underworld system. At the same time, she also opened up many underworld rivers to replace the Blackwater Basin and spread across the entire planet. Any life that died on the planet would be buried in the river, allowing their souls to flow to the underworld. This great project changed the overall attributes of the node, Prometheus. The biggest benefit it brought to Han Dong was death magic, overall attributes, including casting efficiency, spell damage, and mastery of magic types. They were all improved. However, the most important point was still the Pharaoh's will. This kind of will could be applied to the domain. It allowed Han Dong to barely compete with a mythical domain at the domain level. It was also because of this consciousness that he could cooperate with Mad Devil Green to defeat the strong enemy and win the first round of the London game. With the establishment of the underworld and the expansion of the divine capital, the pharaohs will naturally strengthened as well. Han Dong even wanted to compete with Commander Malone in terms of willpower. Of course, he would definitely lose. Come to think of it, although it's very suitable for the Egyptian princess to manage Prometheus, it feels really weird to use this body. The difference in gender made Han Dong very uncomfortable. It had to be said that the Egyptian princess's body proportions were close to perfect. Her slightly dark skin also gave people a unique feeling. Han Dong stared at himself in the mirror and couldn't help but take a few more glances. Since I've already obtained irrelevant memories and experiences, I won't stay here any longer. My interference would hinder the management of the God's capital. According to my memories, there were 2 more important construction projects that were about to be carried out today. I shall let my clone take over. When Prometheus meets the challenge of the Guest of Fate, or when it meets the requirements for an upgrade, I'll deal with it personally. He left the princess's body on the pharaoh's throne. Han Dong's main consciousness quickly left. This trip to Prometheus took a total of 10 minutes. 1 minute to accept the memories and 9 minutes to stand in front of the mirror and examine the princess's body. According to the executives, there was no need to go to tomb anymore. As for the second request made by the executives, Han Dong had almost forgotten about it. Now, there was only one thing left in the three things: to go to the Bayan Hotel to receive one-on-one special training from the executives. However, the agreed time limit is 1 week. I've only used 1.5 days. The executives should still be dealing with Tomb. What should I do next? I haven't received the corresponding legendary material for the highest reward, but I'm not in a hurry. It's better to wait until the doors open and choose such a high-end material with a higher vision. I'll wait until the doors open to spend the points. At this moment, a voice came from within his body. Go to the Fight Club. This Earl is going to take revenge. Oh, Count, aren't you completely autistic? Why do you suddenly have the confidence to fight at the Fight Club? The improvement brought by the Floating Corpse Internal Sutra is targeted at physical combat. In addition, your body's upgrade has made your body stronger. This Count will definitely win the fight. There are only 5.5 days left. I can give you a chance at most for one fight. One fight it is. This Count will definitely win. After hundreds of days of quiet rest and improvement of strength, as well as the smooth progress of various operations in the tomb world. Not only did Count come out of his autistic state, but he also wanted to use this opportunity to win a fight and completely walk out of the painful haze. Okay, the next day, in the Fight Club's external hospital bed, Count, who was wrapped in bandages and covered in silver needles, was lying on the hospital bed. His tears kept dripping from the corners of his eyes and almost soaking the pillow. Since it was Count who wanted to fight, after being injured, he still needed to use his consciousness to endure the pain. Fortunately, Count had really improved. He actually lasted for an hour in the fight and did not fall into a disadvantage. Even though he was beaten up badly in the end, Han Dong still kept giving him praise and encouraging words in his mind. Count, you're really good. Look back at the fight and keep up the good work. Don't talk. Let me be alone. If I participate in this kind of competition again, I'm a dog. In this way, the so-called leisure time no longer existed. Han Dong rushed to the last day of the agreement with the senior executive and used Headless to go through the formalities of being discharged early. He went to the Bayan Hotel with one hand on a crutch and half of his head wrapped in bandages. The senior executive who was watching the movie was also shocked when he saw Han Dong's state. What happened to you? I fulfilled the senior's request in advance. Because I had nothing to do, I went to the Fight Club to train and accidentally became like this. I heard that the members of the Fight Club all have a crazy heart. It seems to be true. You actually went to such a life-and-death fight on the eve of the important opening of the door. Aren't you afraid that you won't be in a good state and won't be able to open the door? I like to be beaten up. I'll be more confident if I get beaten up. That's good. Rest a little. Next, I'll give you a special training. If you can hold on, I'll lead you to the preparation area for the opening of the door. If you fail in the special training, it means that you'll probably fail to open the door. Even if you succeed, it's just a fluke. It'll be difficult for you to go deeper inside. Come back to me in half a year. The senior executive filled the empty cup with thick white liquid and pointed to the spacious single bed. Lie on the bed after taking it. I'll heal you personally. Chapter 1272. Han Dong had already seen the effect of the white liquid that executive used in the Foundry world on the Tomb Lord. Even the broken body of the Tomb Lord that had been consumed for hundreds of years could be restored to its peak state in 2 days. However, Han Dong found it hard to accept the place that executive proposed for the treatment. On the bed, executive's appearance was also human. Han Dong even suspected that executive species was human. It was just that they belonged to different worlds. Since they belonged to the same species, they might be interested in the same species. Han Dong was still more resistant to the unspoken rules. Your injuries are more serious. Bayan Hotel uses a completely adaptive bed that can adjust the height and hardness of each support point according to your body's condition. It is more conducive to the absorption of the liquid. Okay, Han Dong finally compromised. After all, opening the door was the most important thing. With a more obedient appearance, he placed the crutch at the foot of the bed and slowly lay down. Indeed, this bed quickly detected Han Dong's physical injuries and provided the corresponding support. This was very comfortable. Gulp, gulp. The thick liquid was swallowed down. The viscosity was so high that there was even a lot of liquid stuck to the throat, which was very uncomfortable. At this time, Executive also followed him to the bed, one of his palms gently attached to Han Dong's abdomen. Using the center of the black vortex torso, he helped to adjust the flow of the white substance that had just been taken through Han Dong's body. This was much more efficient than Han Dong assisting the Tomb Lord. Executive could control the white liquid to create a world. In just a minute, the injury was completely healed. The white liquid spread to every corner of the body, and even the bruises hidden in the depths were healed. However, Executive frowned and said in a low voice, "Your Fight Club is just like the rumors. You don't care about life and death at all. You do whatever you want. If the injuries in your body aren't healed in time, even if you think your body is in good condition, you might still die one day. Next time at such a critical moment, don't do this kind of thing. Thank you, Senior. I will pay attention next time." Han Dong also knew that the club hospital was also aware of this, which was why they strictly set the discharge requirements. This time, they were able to rush out in time because of headless guarantee. Next, let's start the special training. The executive touched a button in the guest room. A secret passage appeared on the wall on the side of the master bedroom, leading to an open training space that could be set with various environmental parameters, allowing guests to practice various forms of training and even exchange pointers during their rest. Han Dong had an uneasy feeling and asked in a low voice, "Senior, the so-called special training wouldn't be for me to exchange pointers with you, right? The difference in level is too great. It's really... Although I'm interested in your ability system, the difference in level is too big, so it's really boring. When you're constructing myths, perhaps you can try it out with me. The person you want to spar with is not me, but yourself." With that said, there was a feeling of liquid surging up in his body. There was no time for him to stop himself from vomiting. White liquid suddenly spurted out of his mouth. However, the liquid that fell to the ground immediately gathered and turned into a clone that was exactly the same size, appearance, and even aura. However, it was wearing a whirlpool mask on its head. Han Dong wiped the residual liquid from the corner of his mouth and asked softly, "Could it be that the healing just now was just a side process? Senior's real purpose is to inject the liquid into my body to replicate the relevant DNA information for correct biological expression? You make it sound too complicated. It's just a simple replication. However, the complexity of your brain exceeds the upper limit of the liquid, so the replication is not complete. Next, you need to exchange pointers with the clone and win. The specific time of victory will determine whether you are ready to open the door." Okay, Han Dong didn't ask how long it would take. He just needed to do his best to deal with the special training. By the way, I remember that you seem to have the characteristics of a shepherd, which is the ability to recruit and have powerful wisdom as followers. Don't use this ability in the exchange. You must defeat the clone with your own ability. Understood. The executive acted as the referee, and the exchange began. However, there was one thing to note here. The clone's physical body was a complete imitation of Han Dong, but the essence was a high-concentration liquid secreted by the executive's body. The reason why the executive didn't say the exact time was that he didn't think Han Dong could win the exchange. He just wanted to see how far Han Dong could go. 27 minutes, 38 seconds. The exchange space was filled with a strong aura of death. Han Dong, who had just gained death experience from Prometheus, used the Raven Staff as the foundation and cooperated with the array to build a small area of absolute death. The level of death energy flowing inside was comparable to the chaotic death prison of the Ultimate Knights. The clone's body fell inside the array. A holy sword with dripping blood and a hilt fixed by canine teeth pierced through the clone's torso and fixed it in the center of the array. The arms that symbolized absolute death were slowly peeling off the clone, and white liquid was dripping continuously. Ha ha ha! Han Dong, who was studying madness learning, was still laughing wantonly here. The crazy laughter of the leveled up kept invading the clone's brain, weakening the clone's overall attributes from the inside. Enough! With a wave of the executive's hand, the clone was disassembled into white liquid and put into a glass bottle that had already been prepared. Han Dong also quickly stopped his crazy laughter and stopped all his current attacks. It seems to have taken a lot of time. Can this be considered as preparation? The executive looked at Han Dong with a strange gaze. In fact, in Tomb, he saw a trace of madness in Han Dong. He didn't expect that Han Dong, who had retrieved his original body, would show such a crazy fighting style. Well, I expected 1 hour. Your performance is very good. This bottle of liquid is your reward for winning. It can repair your physical strength during the exchange and let you enter the open door mode. Huh, this can be drunk? Staring at the liquid that he vomited and fought again, Han Dong really couldn't bear to drink it again. The liquid has imitated you and tempered you with various abilities. The liquid itself has undergone a qualitative change and is more suitable for your body to accept. This is the ultimate goal of this special training. It can also be considered as a thank you for your help in Tomb. I see. Thank you, Senior. Without hesitation, he blew the bottle in one breath. Just as the executive said, the moment the liquid entered his body, it merged with his body. More importantly, a large part of the essence liquid was sent to the cerebral area through the blood vessels, specifically for the cultivation of consciousness. It even made Han Dong feel like he was floating in the air. His consciousness reached an unprecedented peak. His whole body floated after drinking the bottle of liquid. A large number of tentacles also extended from the back of his head and swayed happily. If the 3 things I asked for are done, you can now open the door. Since I'm your guide, I'll pay for the expenses of your body staying here during the opening of the door. Senior, before opening the door, don't I need to go to the relevant department of the Black Tower to register or go through some kind of device or portal to the area where the door is opened? There's no need. Those things are only useful for ordinary individuals. If you're ready, let your consciousness go to the root of your talent tree and choose Open Door. Chapter 1273. Seed Breaking. It could be said to be the first goal of any apprentice knight. At the moment of seed breaking, when the sapling broke out of the seed shell, a consciousness space would also be formed. The talent tree, that was extremely important to an individual, even 10 times more important than life, was planted here. This was an important setting introduced by the Fate system for every participant of Fate. This setting of preserving the talent tree was safer than the God-level system in the Infinite Worlds. Take the Tomb World as a comparison. We can see the human body as a combination of body, soul, consciousness, similar to a Matryoshka doll. Fate implanted the talent tree, which was related to an individual's level and the source of one's ability, into the brain by planting seeds in advance, and then combined with the consciousness of the brain to form a unique space, allowing the tree to hide in the deepest part of the consciousness. The talent tree corresponded to the zombies in the tomb, which was the Dantian. Before opening the door, the Dantian was in a gaseous state. After opening the door, the Dantian was in a solid state. The Dantian was located in the outermost layer of the body, and once it was damaged, the individual would die instantly. If someone with bad intentions completely refined and absorbed the Dantian, the ending would not be as simple as being crippled in martial arts movies. When the individual died, the soul would be branded with a mark. Even if they reincarnated, they would not have the Dantian and would not be able to embark on the path of cultivation. From this, it could be seen that the talent tree was safer and the fate system designed by the Black Tower was more complete than the average world's leveling system. Only those destructive and mind-invading attacks could affect and destroy the talent tree. It just so happened that Han Dong's brain was the most powerful part of his body, and at the same time, he also recruited a tree guard dog during the seed-breaking period. Count's consciousness could also ensure the safety of the talent tree to a large extent. Basically, Han Dong did not have to worry about the threat of the talent tree being invaded. Following the distribution of the talent points, the individual's talent tree was slowly growing, and the consciousness space was gradually expanding. When the talent points were distributed to 5, the talent tree would complete its final growth, and a hidden path would be formed in the consciousness space, a path that could lead the individual to the gate of truth. The body was left in the Bayan Hotel and was personally looked after by the executives. The consciousness went to the consciousness space created with the talent tree as the foundation. With the complete distribution of the talent points, the space had expanded to the size of an ordinary orchard. The smiling tree was located on a small hill in the middle, which was also the highest point in the space of consciousness. The blood-red fruits on the tree formed a smiley face. The tentacle-like branches would change according to Han Dong's position in real time, ensuring that the smiley face was always there. From afar, it looked like a special red apple tree, and there seemed to be a dog tied to the tree. As they approached the tree, a dignified and exaggerated British accent came from under the tree. "Are you going to open the door?" "Nicholas." I should be able to reach a deeper level if I use the perfect condition that the executives gave me to open the door. Besides, I don't have much to prepare right now, so let's get started. I've checked the talent tree. This count shouldn't be able to go with you, so don't fail. I didn't fail. If I really failed, I would have lost the meaning of living. When the time comes, I will also give this body to you. Count was a little surprised to hear this. If it was in the past, he would have quickly organized a blood ceremony to pray for failure. But now, Count's state of mind was different. Bah, you want to leave the failure to this Count to deal with. Disgusting. Hurry up and reach a deeper level. Only then will I be more interested in your body. It would be best if you could reach the level of those abnormal origin in one go. I believe that with your talent, you should be able to reach it. When the time comes, remember to let me have a good time. Thank you for your kind words. Han Dong's palm slowly landed on the surface of the tree trunk. He could clearly feel the nodes of the 5 attributes, allowing the talent tree to fully mature layer by layer. At the top of the tree trunk, where all the tree veins converged, he could feel a special energy. When Han Dong slowly focused his attention on that point, a distant voice echoed in his ears, as if it came from the depths of his brain. The talent tree, smiley face, has matured. The construction of the path has been completed. Do you want to step on the path to the door of truth? Yes. There was no hesitation. As Han Dong answered, 5 types of imprints slowly appeared from the bottom of the tree trunk. The corresponding talents were as follows: frowny face imprint, black bookshelf, dark knowledge, imprint, tentacle skewer, tentacle lover, imprint, smiling little man, lonely performer, imprint, grinning book, crazy learning, imprint, faceless face, borrowed god, faceless transformation. The imprint was like a door lock on the tree trunk. When it was gradually unlocked, it opened a narrow crack that led to the interior of the talent tree for Han Dong. Except for Han Dong, the main consciousness, everything else would be excluded. Let's go. Open the door. He leaned sideways against the crack, and his body completely entered it. In the blink of an eye, Han Dong's consciousness landed at the beginning of a path, just like the path where the zombies opened the door. However, Han Dong had forgotten all about the zombies opening the door according to the senior management's request. There are no zombies or mummies, nor are there any circuses or amusement park facilities. Road, formed by floating gray tiles. The angle of each tile is different. It is narrow, undulating, and there are gaps between each tile. If you're not careful, you may fall. Both sides, formed by pieces of broken mirrors. Each broken mirror is projecting a real-time image, reflecting the scene in a certain world. There are millions upon millions of broken mirrors on both sides of the road. They symbolize the thousands of worlds that were connected by fate. As a fate traveler, Han Dong was able to make use of the convenience of the fate system to travel between worlds to maximize his growth. I didn't expect that the road to the Gate of Truth would be like this. Except for the inconvenience caused by the undulating tiles, the road was smooth and unimpeded. Due to the instability of space and time in the current area, Han Dong didn't know how long he had been walking. He only felt that his mind was slightly tired. Finally, the Gate of Truth that he was looking for appeared in front of him. Is this my door? The scale of the Gate of Truth in front of him was 5 times larger than the coffin door when he opened the tomb. It was probably 100 meters high, and it was extremely shocking to the visual senses. Door frame, formed by the accumulation of countless skulls. In addition to human skulls, there are many strange skulls that cannot be identified. Each skull was connected by tentacles that grew out of its eye sockets. The tentacles here acted as a kind of screw to stabilize it, and it was also because of this that it was able to support such a huge door. Door has the commonality of the Gate of Truth. The Tree of Life, is printed on it. At the same time, in a way similar to graffiti, a huge scarlet smiling face was painted across the entire Tree of Life. It was like contempt and ridicule for the truth of life. However, in addition to the Gate of Truth, there was an existence here that Han Dong had never heard of or seen before. It was a white humanoid life form wrapped in a black circle. It looked like an unfinished painting. It was sitting in front of the Gate of Truth, waiting for Han Dong's arrival. He was holding a strange card in his hand. Chapter 1274. The image of the Gate of Truth was in line with Han Dong's attributes. Opening this door would bring him into a whole new realm. However, the mysterious creature sitting in front of the door confused Han Dong. He had never seen or heard of such a situation before. What the hell is this? Since he was already here, there was no turning back. After confirming that the target was not a threat, he slowly approached the other party. When he was 5 tiles away, the white creature with only a frame grew a mouth on his face, revealing a gentle smile. At the same time, he held a stack of cards in his hand and handed them to Han Dong. Want to play a game of cards? Cards. Han Dong initially stared at the deck of cards in the creature's hand, thinking that the other party was going to divine something for him. That's right. If you want to open the door, you have to play with me. This is your deck of cards. Please keep it well. The mysterious creature handed over the cards in his hand. It was a card that belonged to Han Dong. The back of the card had a gray background, and there was a 3-dimensional array pattern on it. At the same time, it was woven with tentacles. When Han Dong caught the card, he was shocked. He hurriedly used all his strength to successfully hold the card. So heavy. Each card is probably more than 5 kilograms. When Han Dong took the cards, the area immediately changed. The road to the Gate of Truth became a scene for card games. The square tiles that formed the road began to be arranged in a regular manner, forming a 100 by 100 card game scene. The mysterious creature's position did not change, still sitting in front of the door. Han Dong's position was the furthest away due to the rearrangement of the scene, just opposite the mysterious creature. It seemed that the following card game would be based on the scene in front of him. I am truth and also fate. Any life that evolves through the threads of fate will meet me in front of the Gate of Truth. The system you use is very special, so you have to pay the corresponding price. The price is to play a game of fate with me. This is based on the different rules of thousands of worlds, collecting the core essence of different worlds. A game that took 6 universe years to create. A set of dynamic rules that can be adapted to any life form, any game. The functionality, interaction, and transformation of each card were all carefully designed by me. Any new things that are born in thousands of worlds will also be created based on the game system, so the balance is always maintained within a certain range. Information about fate is forbidden to be leaked to anyone. Otherwise, you will be forcefully stripped of your right to fate. So please remember, no matter if you win or lose, do not reveal any information about the game to anyone. The cards in your hand are made up of your fate experience. Every card's strength, function, and rarity were all related to one's experience. Individuals who had put in the effort to experience true fate would receive powerful cards here. Although I haven't seen your cards yet, I can feel that there are quite a few cards with very powerful cards with them. Today's card game should be very interesting. I hope you don't disappoint me. As for me, I will use, I of course, of card with you. The mysterious hands with its hand. The string was connected to both sides, reflecting the mirror fragments of thousands of worlds. Following the movement of its fingers, a series of golden cards were drawn out. The number of them was the same as the number of cards in Han Dong's hand, but the glittering golden color seemed to be of a higher level. This is the card of fate. Han Dong still remembered that before he broke his seed, every time he went through an event, he would receive a card of fate that could help him choose the event. The golden card's form was very similar to the card in front of him. Preparation time is 1 hour. Familiarize yourself with the rules. Saying so, a book about the size of a human torso and about 1 meter thick rose from the floor in front of Han Dong. Battle of Fate, detailed version. Without thinking about the questions in front of him, Han Dong immediately immersed himself in reading the book. With this kind of thickness, it's impossible to finish reading it in 1 hour, let alone extract the essence of the book. The first thing Han Dong had to do was purification. Since it's a detailed version, I'll first turn it into a simplified version. Han Dong flipped through the book at a speed that ordinary people couldn't understand, and at the same time, a simplified short book was forming in his mind. Wait, this is the reason why the executives asked me to return to the world of fate. When Han Dong read the description of the card, he immediately checked his card. The information given on the front of the card only included drawing, background, border color, and decorative edges. The background color represented the basic types of cards: unit cards, event cards, effect cards, trap cards, and so on. The border color represented the rarity of the card. This was similar to the fate equipment. The higher the quality of the card, the more outstanding the effect of the card. As Han Dong's experience in fate was very solid, the quality of the cards was also relatively good. The decorative edges were used to represent the characteristics of the card. Han Dong currently had a total of 6 card characteristics. 1. Clown card, with a clown's head in the corner. 2. Town card, with the Dry Town Hall logo in the corner. 3. Pharaoh card, with a pyramid logo in the corner. 4. Zombie card, with a coffin logo in the corner. 5. Out of Control card, with a black tower logo in the corner. 6. Universal card, without any logo in the corner. The first 5 cards came from Han Dong's experience in fate, and the last one came from his daily life experience. There was one thing that made Han Dong feel troubled. These cards did not have any text description, nor did they have attack and health like normal cards, nor did they have any effect. There was only one description, and that was the drawing on the front of the card. Using a sentence from the rulebook to explain, the card's function is strictly based on the attributes of the drawing. This was the reason why the executives asked Han Dong to go to the world of fate. Only by familiarizing himself with the drawing could he predict the effect of the card. Otherwise, he would lose without a doubt. In addition, the total number of cards in an individual's hand was 108 cards, but the game would not end when all 108 cards were played. Cards would return to the deck due to expiration, death, forced departure, and so on. At the same time, their attributes would change according to the circumstances of their departure. For example, a dead unit card could turn into an undead or a cursed card, and so on. As long as one side did not lose, the entire game would continue endlessly. Also, Han Dong extracted the most important point from the rulebook. The complexity of the game would change according to the number of rounds and the strength of the players. This was very important. If the changes in the game exceeded the limit of balance, the game would end in a draw. All of a sudden, the huge rulebook in front of Han Dong disappeared. His gray card and the golden card of fate in his opponent's hand were both pulled by an external force to the 2 ends of a hanging scale. Come, let me experience your fate experience. Chapter 1275. The Game of Chess. Both sides started with 5 cards on the square tiles in front of them. The game used a one real-time card battle. The cards that were played would be reflected on the field, so the players had to dictate how they played. Among the 5 cards that Han Dong played, 2 of them were unit cards. At the beginning of the turn, the non-invisible units would directly appear, and the relevant data would be reflected in Han Dong's eyes. Town unit card, rare, Mary Shaw attack, 1, HP, 7 effect, 1. When the current chessboard corresponds to any unit's corpse, 2 puppets can be created to fight for your side. 2. If there are no corpses on the chessboard, Mary Shaw will transform into a puppet, and the attack and HP will be alternated. Zombie unit card, rare, Frozen Bones, Luo Gaocheng, attack, 2, HP, 5 effect. With the card as the center, all enemy actions within 3 squares will be consumed by 33%. The other 3 cards are sealed. It might only be triggered under certain circumstances, or it might require Han Dong to consume some energy to activate it. The game of fate has officially begun. Fine hotel. Han Dong's body was soaked in a bathtub filled with white liquid. The executive was sitting on the side of the bathtub, carefully observing Han Dong's special head. With your innate talent in this head, you should be able to play a good hand. If the game of fate allows spectators, I really want to see how good you can be. However, the competitive spirit you showed in Tomb might drag you down here. You are facing the origin of fate, and this kind of competitive spirit will turn into a slow poison in the game, eroding everything you have. Don't fall too deep. The game of fate elapsed time, 0 hours and 36 minutes, based on normal time flow. Number of chessboards. 1. Main chessboard, chess player HP. 50 gray, Han Dong. Minus 50 white, gatekeeper. Mary Shaw consumed all her action points to move to minus 153. Position change, puppet. Together with frozen dead bones, they will form an assassination formation and attack the target, gluttonous Dullner. Join attack damage plus 30%. Assassination formation. Gluttonous Dullner has died. The gray side obtained domain plus 2. Mary Shaw, marionette, died under the influence of gluttony. White square, or domain plus 1. Han Dong pointed at a card on the table and made a request. Consume 2 territory points. Activate scene card, Prometheus, White Giant Temple, expand battlefield. The tile on which the card was placed actually grew like a tree, growing an upward branch. With the White Giant Temple as the background, it turned into a 13 by 13 derivative chessboard. Scene effect. During the battle on the current chessboard, the gray square will automatically generate a 1-to-1 xenomorph. The xenomorph will automatically attack enemy unit tiles with a range of less than 2 squares. Ha! Such a move won Han Dong a round of applause. The white individual smiled and gave a compliment. To be able to make a derivative chessboard before me. Looks like your cognitive ability is really strong to be able to completely familiarize yourself with the rules of Fate card game during the preparation time. Well then, I'm going to get serious. Due to the death of an ally, the Elven Mountain God will transform into the second stage, activating Landslide. The territory points obtained from killing frozen dead bones will be used to activate scene card, Blade Peak. Activate effect card, territory restriction. The gray side's next 3 unit tiles must be placed on Blade Peak. A chessboard was spawned. A derivative chessboard covered in sharp blades appeared. The pieces placed on it will lose 1 HP every turn. You have to hold on. This isn't even a warm-up. Fate card game. Time spent. 2 days, 8 hours, 36 minutes. Number of chessboards. 7, including 1 main chessboard and 6 derivative chessboards HP. 38 gray. 50 white. It was the gray side's turn. Han Dong. Activate effect card. Town Assembly. Sacrifice 3 ordinary citizens of Ridley Town, an epic unit tile, outside the deck. Just as Han Dong shouted this sentence, a strong sense of dizziness swept over his brain. Drip, 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 the sound of liquid dripping him. What did I have a nosebleed? Han Dong looked down and found that there was a large pool of blood-red liquid under him. The nosebleed had been going on for half an hour. Only the dizziness made Han Dong realize that he was having a nosebleed. The one standing here belonged to the body of consciousness. Nosebleed meant that the body of consciousness's spirit was being depleted at an accelerated rate. This game of chess is extremely taxing on the spirit. The executives made my spirit reach 120% through special training. So, this is the reason. I have to thank them properly when I get back. He stabilized his condition. With the help of the effect card from sacrificing 3 townspeople, he randomly summoned an epic townspeople card from outside the deck. N0. 9. Moonlight Miles Attack. 8. HP. 8 Effect 1. Judgment. If the target unit's attack is less than the card, it can be judged as death with a 50% chance of instant death. 2. Moonlight. If the unit is in a moonlight-related area or during the night of the main chessboard, its HP is doubled and it recovers 3 HP per turn. 3. Reload consumes twice the mobility. Staring at the model of Miles that appeared on the field, Han Dong felt the pressure in his heart lessen greatly. With this Miles card, I should be able to stabilize the situation for a while. 9 days, 8 hours, 36 minutes number of chessboards. 13, including 1 main chessboard, 8 derivative chessboards, and 4 replica chessboards HP. 23 gray, 50 white, a full 9 days of high-intensity games, without a single second of rest. The foundation that Han Dong had laid through Miles a week ago was completely destroyed at this moment. Miles was killed, and the opponent gained a full 5 domain points. The white side played a card. Consume 5 domain points. Activate derivative chessboard. Land of Purification. Use effect card. Higher Heaven's Decree. Consume all the angel units on the field and retrieve derivative chessboard. Land of Purification. Summon legendary unit card. Archangel Empress. Wow, I haven't used this unit in a long time. Be careful. This card can theoretically destroy all the units you have. I hope you've prepared the countermeasures beforehand. Of course, even if you're prepared, the offense on the main chessboard will last for at least half a month. When he saw the animation of an archangel descending from higher heaven, poof! Han Dong spat out a mouthful of blood onto the first chessboard in front of him. The tiredness that had accumulated over the past 9 days exploded in an instant, and large patches of hair fell to the ground. The current Han Dong was in a thin and bald state. 23 days, 8 hours, 36 minutes number of chessboards. 27, including 1 main chessboard, 8 derivative chessboards, and 18 replica chessboards. The replica cards used for the replica chessboards will not affect the number of cards in the main deck. HP. 11 gray. 50 white. The existence of multiple chessboards. There were even some spherical and 12-sided strange chessboards. This situation had long surpassed the scope of what the normal brain could handle. Epic effect card. Fight Club's rules activated. All units on the field are silenced and will automatically consume their action points every round to approach other units, including friendly units, and initiate an attack. Lasts for 3 rounds. The moment he played this card to stabilize the situation. Cough, cough, cough. Han Dong, who looked like a mummy, suddenly coughed violently. A piece of liver full of stones was directly coughed out of his mouth. Crackle, crackle, the remaining 5 teeth in his mouth all fell out. He could only maintain the state of his body through the tentacles that grew from the back of his head. The brain was severely cancerous due to overuse, and the brain was full of huge tumors that had exceeded the size of his body. The situation was stabilized at once, and it also surprised the gatekeeper. You can still stabilize such a situation. It really makes me feel happy, but your state of consciousness is worrying. Do you want to continue? Continue. Han Dong's voice seemed to come from his throat. 42 days, 8 hours, 36 minutes number of chessboards. 34, including 1 main chessboard, 10 derivative chessboards, and 23 replica chessboards. The replica cards used for the replica chessboards will not affect the number of cards in the main deck. HP. 1 gray, 50 white. When others looked at Han Dong, they couldn't tell what it was at all, and they couldn't even tell whether it was organic or inorganic. To simply describe it in words, it was probably a smelly and shriveled huge lump. In such a state, one sentence may cause the consciousness to completely collapse. Sure enough, the most interesting thing is still human. You still have a little bit of life left. Can you continue? Listening to the other party's words, Han Dong didn't seem to have the intention to give up. He shouted out 2 words from his almost degenerated mouth. Borrow. God buzz. A gray airflow broke through the restrictions of time and space and descended in the current area, covering Han Dong's whole body. In the gray fog, there was a faint roar that was enough to make everything fall into madness. A large number of tentacles swayed wildly, breaking through the dry and hard lump and growing new limbs. However, this state couldn't last long. Borrowing God would originally bring a great burden to Han Dong, and doing this now was almost suicidal. Once the God was removed, the weak Han Dong would die instantly from the backlash. Therefore, he could only take a crucial step in the state of borrowing God. Because I was attacked on the main chessboard last round, the trap card, Flesh Curse, was activated. Flip, event card. Enhance. The event has been fermented for 5 rounds. The effect can be maximized. All units on my main chessboard are treated as flesh and blood. Enhance. Spread the curse effect to other chessboards connected to the main chessboard. Effect card, Clown Virus. Combined with the sneaking unit, Pennywise, out of control, on the field, all flesh and blood are affected. Unit card, Pennywise, and the flesh and blood unit closest to the white main body will flesh swap and attack the white main body. HP -4. End of round. After 42 days, Han Dong caused damage to the mysterious gatekeeper for the first time. At the same time, as the number of derivative and duplicate chessboards reached more than 30, the balance was difficult to control. All units on the chessboard were instantly infected with the clown virus, causing the balance to break through the limit. According to the rules, this game was forcibly ended with a draw. He dared to do it the second before the borrowed God state ended. A strand of thread of fate instantly passed through Han Dong's consciousness that was about to collapse, forcibly stitching it up and stabilizing his consciousness. The white life sitting in front of the door of truth showed a very satisfied smile and commented, "According to your usual method of time, it should be 30,000 years. In about 30,000 years, countless games have been played. This game gives me the highest satisfaction, and it is also the only game that can hurt me and make it a draw. Not bad, human." Chapter 1276. Destiny Card Game. Han Dong had speculated the meaning of this card game from the very beginning. Winning or losing was not the key. First of all, the mysterious creature guarding the door never mentioned anything about only by winning the game can you open the door. More importantly, the other party claimed to be the truth and destiny, to be able to connect thousands of worlds together through threads and create a deck of cards from different worlds. It could be seen that the other party was not lying. Perhaps it was really the creator of the destiny system, or perhaps a consciousness clone of the creator. A card game that such a high-end existence had integrated the essence of all the worlds and spent 6 universe years to design. Han Dong had only been given 1 hour to study. Was it possible for him to defeat the founder in a game of cards? The answer was impossible. The probability was not even 1 in a trillion. Han Dong's speculation about the meaning of the card game was satisfy the creator's spiritual entertainment. If he could get a sense of pleasure in the game, then the opening of the door would be very smooth. Therefore, Han Dong formed a plan in his mind, put all his brain power into the game. As long as he noticed that the other party revealed an appointment in the game, his goal would be achieved. At that time, once he felt uncomfortable on the consciousness level, he would slow down the game and lose the game normally. Han Dong had to ensure that his mental state was suitable for the opening of the door. He could not spend too much energy on the game. Unexpectedly, an accident happened. Han Dong was unknowingly immersed in this destiny card game. This kind of epic chess game that required the brain to operate at high speed and involved one's own experience aroused Han Dong's interest deep in his heart, an interest that could suppress rationality and desire. As the game became more complicated, the field expanded again and again, various cards interacted with each other, summoning powerful units to suppress the situation or through buried event cards to guide the direction of the game. This made his interest grow until he was completely immersed in it. Even if Han Dong knew that it was impossible to win, he still wanted to go all out, even at the cost of his life, to get the best ending, a draw. Finally, he successfully used the loopholes in the game to achieve a draw and, at the same time, caused the first damage to the other party. After doing all this, Han Dong no longer had any ability to think. Even if he carried out the calculation of 1 + 1 =, it would cause his consciousness to collapse. At the critical moment, a thread descended from the sky. At the moment when Han Dong's consciousness was about to collapse, he performed a stable suture. After an unknown period of time, when Han Dong opened his eyes again, the chessboard in front of him had all been removed. All the cards that represented Han Dong's experience had also been retrieved. He was sitting cross-legged, facing the mysterious creature head-on, maintaining a distance of 1 tile from it. The mysterious man's finger twitched slightly. The thread that had penetrated Han Dong's body was pulled back into his hand. A mouth appeared on the pure white face, and 2 rows of white teeth corresponded to a smile of favor. Your body of consciousness has been completely restored. Thank you for bringing us such a wonderful game, especially the last step. It was simply too wonderful. I used a loophole in the rules to force a draw. This is the best I can do. Of course, if I had more time to study the rules of the game, I might have been able to play even better. Oh, could it get any better? Forget it. You have to go through an important opening ceremony, and I just repaired your consciousness. It's not good to leave you here to continue playing cards. Next time, when you come here as a whole, I'll play cards with you again. I have a good impression of you, so don't let me down. This is a personal gift for me. It represents my satisfaction with the game. I hope you can make good use of it. Keep moving forward, human. The black silhouette of the white life disappeared, leaving a fleshy capsule on the floor. Its function was unknown. Since it was a reward for the current occasion, it must be related to the opening of the door. If Han Dong reported this to the executives or other people who opened the door of fate, everyone would be shocked, because today no one living in the Black Tower had ever received such a gift. It seems that you are indeed the creator of the fate system. My consciousness that was about to collapse was repaired in time, and even completely recovered. My current state is not much different from when I first came here. Even the breadth of my consciousness, thinking ability, and perception have expanded a lot because of the game. However, I was also a bit reckless. I don't know if it was the side effect of madness that led me to be unable to extricate myself from the game, or the game itself made me want to give up everything in this game. Forget it. Prepare to open the door. His mind jumped out of the game just now, and his vision returned to the gate of truth in front of him. He picked up the fleshy capsule and temporarily put it in his pocket. 2 hands fell on the surface of the huge and heavy door at the same time. Just when Han Dong was thinking about how to open the door unexpectedly opened inwards by itself. Could it be? The game just now also corresponds to the key used to open the door? As long as I seriously play a game with the creator, the door will open? Before Han Dong could think carefully, a burst of cheerful and pleasant music came from a door. Behind the gate of truth was actually a large amusement park. To be precise, it should be an amusement park filled with a strong sense of death that provided death entertainment for the dead. At the moment when he set foot here, Han Dong saw 2 kinds of death facilities that could not appear in human society. Body collider. Tourists with smiley faces were tied to both sides of the collider. Through the constant acceleration of collision, the tourist bodies collided head-on until all of them died. The tourists with broken bodies could still move. The fragmented bodies were assembled in a short time and continued to participate in the next activity. Moreover, the tourists did not care whether the body parts belonged to them or not, as long as they could be assembled. Scream Haunted House. Through the surveillance screen in front of the haunted house, the staff acting as ghosts and demons inside were brutally slaughtering the tourists. After the tourists experienced death in the haunted house, they could apply to stay as a temporary staff and get the opportunity to slaughter other tourists. At the same time, it was important to note that the tourists who were enjoying death here were all faceless people. They used watercolor pens to draw facial features on their faces, and most of them used exaggerated smiles to express their love for the amusement park. Han Dong, who entered here, also returned to his original state. Braised egg head, mummy left arm, mutated right arm, and black whirlpool torso. At this time, the loudspeakers hanging on different ride facilities played an extremely important broadcast. The Abyss roller coaster is checking tickets, only for this trip. Tourists who have not checked tickets must seize the opportunity. After drawing a bright red smiley face with his right index finger, Han Dong ran straight to the roller coaster ticket gate deep in the amusement park. Chapter 1277. Abyss Roller Coaster. It was actually a roller coaster project built around the Abyss. The lower end of the huge and exaggerated door sign corresponded to the deep entrance of an O-shaped mouth. Although the notice seemed to be urgent, in fact, no tourists entered the entrance of the roller coaster facility. Even the tourists passing by the entrance didn't look at it. It wasn't that they weren't interested, but they weren't qualified to enter. When Han Dong stepped forward, a clown with the same shape and appearance as Pennywise, holding a balloon in one hand and a loudspeaker in the other, walked out of the passage. It seemed to be the ticket inspector of the roller coaster. If this scene was on other occasions, Han Dong would have killed it. But the clown in front of him was obviously a projection of Han Dong's own subconscious. After all, the clown's existence ran through Han Dong's growth, from apprentice knight to official knight, and also included his identity as an employee of the Black Tower, and his current torso also originated from the clown. The Abyss roller coaster is a special project of our amusement park. Please show your special pass. Pass. You're a special guest. You should have one. Look for it. Han Dong began to search his body according to the clown's instructions. He really took out a card of fate with a golden back from his pocket. It must have been secretly stuffed into his pocket by the creator when he was unconscious. Hurry up and come in with me. The roller coaster is about to start. Kacha, ho-hoo. The clown imitated the action of driving a train and led Han Dong into the inner area. There was only one old roller coaster parked on the track at the entrance. It was so damaged that one of its wheels was still hanging outside the track. Seeing that Han Dong didn't immediately sit on the roller coaster, the clown began to urge him. I'm warning you, don't stay here for too long. The amusement park is about to close. Wait a moment. Han Dong was stunned because when he approached the roller coaster, there was a feeling in his body. The source of the feeling was the fleshy capsule given by the creator. Han Dong tried to make contact with the dilapidated roller coaster with the capsule in his hand. Sure enough, at the moment of contact, the fleshy capsule rapidly grew and enveloped the entire roller coaster. It formed a brand new meat cart that was more suitable for Han Dong to ride. Oh, you actually have such a thing. Fine, since you didn't break the rules, let's go up. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time waits for no one, Mr. Nicholas. All right. He sat on the meat roller coaster and he fastened the seatbelt that looked like intestines. Under the traction of the track, the vehicle slowly moved. Compared to a regular roller coaster, the ascending track here was higher and longer. The track would even reach 90 degrees vertical at the highest point, and the overall height would exceed 100 meters, making it the highest point of the entire amusement park. It was even more exaggerated. After passing the highest point, the downward trajectory was also 90 degrees vertical, leading to the endless abyss at the bottom, which was also where the truth was. Crack, crack, the meat cart slowly ascended under the traction of the track. All the faceless tourists in the amusement park stopped what they were doing and looked at Han Dong. However, Han Dong's gaze was fixed on the bottom all the way, staring at the abyss that belonged to him. It was different from the free fall when the zombie opened the door. There was a roller coaster here as a carrier medium, coupled with the linkage of the fleshy capsule. There must be an important meaning. Click. After passing the highest point, the vehicle automatically stopped, giving Han Dong time to prepare. Huff, he took a deep breath. although he had completely forgotten the experience when the zombie opened the door. But when staring at such an abyss of truth, there would still be a sense of discomfort at the consciousness level. Once the consciousness could not withstand the pressure given by the depth during the fall, the process of opening the door would end. Come on. The brakes were released. The roller coaster game officially started. Rumble. The moment it fell into the abyss along the 90 degrees track. Buzz. An invisible spiritual pressure instantly assaulted him. However, Han Dong's expression did not change at all. The initial consciousness pressure was negligible, and this was all thanks to his previous experience and the consciousness tolerance trained in the game of fate. Wait, this is the truth? Han Dong, who was sitting on a roller coaster, actually spied on the dogma of truth engraved on the abyss wall, which was completely different from the zombie's experience at that time. These dogmatic words described a brand new field that Han Dong had never reached, a truth that involved the origin of life, the origin of matter, and the evolution of rules. Just by reading the words, a vast picture scroll could be formed in the mind. When Han Dong quickly understood these words, the corresponding truth would also be engraved in the brain, bringing an extremely huge side effect to the body of consciousness. Atavism effect. Because of the acceptance of the origin knowledge, Han Dong's body also began to abandon its inherent form and evolved toward the original state of matter. First, a web-like structure grew between the fingers, and in just over 10 seconds, the fingers and palms completely degenerated, forming an amorphous, fleshy structure. But Han Dong didn't seem to notice the transformation of consciousness at all. Excitement, greed, and desire flashed in his eyes. The thirst for knowledge was so strong that he even had to resist blinking. He kept absorbing the knowledge in the abyss. Slow down, the falling speed is too fast. When Han Dong wanted to reach out and pull the handbrake built into the roller coaster, he realized that his entire arm had turned into an extremely soft, fleshy tentacle. He barely managed to hold the handbrake with his tentacles and slowed down so that Han Dong could keep up with the transmission speed of the dogma of truth. This was the convenience brought by the roller coaster. As a carrier, it allowed Han Dong to better accept the truth. What Han Dong didn't know was, in the process of falling into the abyss and accepting the truth, in the space of consciousness where the talent tree was located, his physical body that stayed in the hotel was undergoing a transformation. These truths, this knowledge, have long surpassed the field of knowledge that humans can comprehend. Every word here can lead to a technological revolution. More. I want more. His limbs completely degenerated. It was all thanks to the restraining force provided by the seatbelt that Han Dong's body was fixed in place so that he could continue to absorb the truth. Immediately after, his body began to change. The flesh and organs were completely combined and protruded on the surface of his body. The blood vessels all over his body also appeared in the form of a vortex and were tightly attached to the surface of his torso. Muscles degenerated and bones disappeared. Without the support of his neck muscles and cervical vertebrae, his head slowly sank into his body. His facial organs were also degenerating at the same time. His nose and mouth were closed by the proliferating flesh. The connecting nerves of the eyeballs were cut off, and the two eyeballs fell onto the roller coaster. However, the demon eye could still be used normally. In the center of the black vortex in his abdomen, an eye remained open the entire time. Even though it was covered in blood vessels, it was still absorbing the truth to the greatest extent. An unknown amount of time passed, an unknown depth of fall. Han Dong no longer had a human form. He had turned into an indescribable mass of flesh and even merged with the roller coaster. Only one eyeball was located at the top of the pile of flesh, retaining its visual effect. At this moment, the speed of the fall suddenly slowed down. The current Han Dong had lost all his other functions except for his vision. He could not pull the handbrake at all. The reason for the slowdown was that the slope of the track had changed here. From a vertical 90 degrees, it was slowly leveling off. It seemed to be carrying Han Dong to the bottom of the abyss of truth. An ancient stone tablet of unknown age stood here. Chapter 1278. In the process of falling into the abyss, Han Dong had abandoned everything. He had even forgotten what his name was and what type of life he belonged to. To ensure that he could withstand the pressure brought by the abyss and accept the truth here, Han Dong only kept his vision and part of his mind used to accept the truth. That's it. Why do I feel that the truth hasn't been fully explained, and there are still many things that haven't been presented? The gradually balanced track allowed the roller coaster to slowly stop at the bottom. It meant that Han Dong's acceptance of the truth had come to an end. There was no pressure at the bottom of the abyss. Han Dong could slowly recuperate and recover here. Of course, the recovery process was still quite slow. The completely collapsed and indescribable fleshy body almost merged with the roller coaster. It needed to be slowly separated and reorganized. His brain was slowly digging out his past memories, recalling his name, identity, and past experiences. Staying in school to teach, dying of cancer, being reborn in prison, the life of night. While recalling, his body was also automatically integrated under the effect of the black vortex. Organs were distributed in the correct position of the body. Blood vessels were rearranged to achieve basic circulation in the body. Bones were reconstructed to establish the fulcrum of the body. The differentiation of muscles, skin, and fat layers slowly filled the body. The whole process took 7 days and 7 nights. In the end, a complete individual with long hair and thin bones was formed. All the relevant memories were recovered. However, he was too weak to even stand on the roller coaster. At this moment, the reconstruction of his sense of taste was completed. Han Dong inhaled a wisp of air into his nose as he breathed. What's that smell? It smells so good. The fragrance came from a meat cart under him. Although the meat cart looked like a pile of dead pork, the fragrance was several levels higher than the delicacies Han Dong had eaten. Weakness, hunger, and lack of energy. Instinct drove Han Dong to bite the meat cart and eat heartily. After a while, the body tissue that weighed hundreds of kilograms was eaten up by Han Dong. Correspondingly, his energy was replenished. His consciousness was no longer weak, and his thin appearance had completely disappeared. His state recovered to about 70%. I must thank the founder when I have the chance. I didn't expect that the fleshy capsule given to me would have 2 functions. Otherwise, my acceptance of the truth when I fell and my current recovery would be problematic. He scanned the area in front of him, trying to capture as much information as possible. The lowest level isn't the mythological domain. As expected, it wasn't that simple. There was no truth here, and there was no consciousness pressure from the abyss. The only special thing was the stone tablet in the middle. Perhaps this stone tablet is closely related to the mythological structure. Han Dong, who had almost fully recovered, no longer had any misgivings as he walked towards the stone tablet. Now that he had completed the door opening, after returning to the hybrid demon world, he would meet his old friends as an atavistic body or an elite knight. They had successfully caught up with the progress of the London Games. What is this? Han Dong, who was standing in front of the stone tablet, still couldn't see anything special about it. However, he placed his right hand on the surface of the stone tablet. 3 grooves were carved out on the surface of the stone tablet. At the same time, an extremely ancient voice sounded in Han Dong's mind. It has been a very long time since anyone has been able to reach the bottom of the abyss of truth through the fate system. Although you have received external assistance, in essence, you have relied on yourself to reach the bottom and accept all the truths that can be touched at this stage. Your potential has been recognized, and I will grant you the qualification of new king. After that, a stone crown emerged from the stone tablet and fell on top of Han Dong's head, gradually fusing with his head and disappearing. For Han Dong, he didn't feel any change in his ability, only a subtle feeling, a subjective feeling similar to the elevation of his status. He quickly asked with his consciousness, New king. What does this mean? An individual who can come to the bottom of the abyss of truth for the first time will have the potential to be crowned king in the future, thus obtaining the title of new king. This title will reserve a throne for you. When you reach a sufficient level, the world you are in will reserve a throne for you in advance. You should be very clear that the throne is extremely important and rare for a world. Such a title will eliminate competition for you and also give you some preferential treatment. Although this was a good thing for Han Dong, there was a bigger question in his heart. Excuse me, I have a friend who obtained the title of new king before the abyss of truth opened. What is this all about? The ancient voice in the stone tablet was easy to talk to and answer Han Dong's question very frankly. There's only one possibility for a person to obtain a title before the abyss of truth opened. Your friend was recognized by a new king, and this new king transferred the title to him at the cost of his life. He should be a very interesting individual. Understood. In the face of such an ancient existence, it was very good to get additional answers, so Han Dong didn't ask any more questions. The relevant explanation was over, and the ancient consciousness cut off the connection with the stone tablet, leaving Han Dong standing there with a thoughtful face. New king, I didn't expect that the reward at the bottom of the abyss would be this. In this way, the secret behind Dimps is even more complicated. I didn't expect that a new king would take the initiative to sacrifice himself, transferring the title to him. I'll ask him when I get back. I don't need to know about the new king now. Let's look at the situation in front of me. Han Dong touched the 3 grooves on the surface of the stone tablet. These grooves should correspond to the upgrade mode of the fate system. It belongs to the transition from atavistic body to mythical body. It actually reduced from the previous 5 points needed to upgrade to 3 points. However, the difficulty of activating the stone tablet's grooves is probably several times more difficult than obtaining talent points. I'll think about these things when the London game is over. How do I go back? When Han Dong came up with this idea, another roller coaster stopped at the bottom along the track, as if indicating that Han Dong could leave this place once he got on it. The opening of the abyss of truth was over, and there was no need to stay here. Rumble, riding the roller coaster, there was no longer any pressure from the abyss when it rose under the traction of the track. Moreover, it only took 5 minutes to leave here. This may have a lot to do with the instability of time and space. Or perhaps when Han Dong fell to the bottom, the abyss here belonged to him. The upper end no longer corresponded to the amusement park. The mouth of the abyss kept shrinking as it rose. In the end, it turned into a tree hole that was just enough for Han Dong to squeeze up. Han Dong, who climbed up the tree hole, came directly to the inside of the tree trunk of the talent tree. Could it be that the abyss is already mine? It belongs to my space of consciousness. I can go to the bottom of the abyss through the tree hole at any time and use the stone tablet for subsequent upgrades? Interesting. Han Dong suppressed the smile on his face and left the tree trunk by sticking close to the gap. Count, who had been waiting outside for a long time, had already written a congratulatory speech. Just as he was about to read it in an impassioned manner, he suddenly caught a glimpse of a crown hanging on top of Han Dong's head. A wave of instinct swayed in Count's body. His legs went soft, and he knelt on the ground. He even made the most devout kneeling posture. Chapter 1279. While kneeling, Count's mind was completely emptied. Such a situation had only occurred when he met the blood ancestor. It was an instinctive effect of surrendering to a king. After a full 2 minutes, Count felt that something was wrong. This is the appearance of the new king. Count had forgotten about the congratulatory speech. He couldn't believe that Han Dong had obtained the title of new king during the opening of the door. He had heard a lot of rumors about the new king. Some said that the title of new king came from the old king and could only be granted once in a lifetime. Some said that it needed to pass some kind of world test and be recognized by the world's essence. Now it seemed, one of the ways to obtain the title of new king was opening of the door. However, Count didn't spy on any information related to the new king during the opening of the door. It might be hidden in some corner, or it might exist in an area that Count couldn't reach. Han Dong stared at Count in surprise. You can see it? Han Dong didn't want others to know about the new king. It was always good to keep a low profile. When Count answered, he abandoned his previous arrogance and even sounded a little formal. Maybe it's because our consciousness is connected that we can see it. The crown is a kind of consciousness representation. Unless you actively send a signal to others, it won't be seen. That's good. Otherwise, it would cause a lot of trouble if it was seen by the origin substance. Count, why do I feel that your movements are a little stiff today? With that, Han Dong suddenly put a hand on Count's shoulder. This sudden intimate contact also caused a kind of pressure from the new king to pass into Count's body, causing Count's body to tremble violently and almost kneel down again. Count, I just feel a little physical discomfort. You should hurry back to your body. Well, I do need to hurry back. My body should have undergone corresponding changes during the opening of the door. His consciousness returned. Before he opened his eyes, he felt that his whole body was covered in a kind of slippery liquid. His body was soaked in a bathtub full of white liquid. This liquid was very familiar to Han Dong. You're awake? The executive in a white suit was sitting on the side of the bathtub, watching Han Dong, who had just woken up. Thank you, Senior. The first thing Han Dong did when he woke up was to express his gratitude. If it wasn't for the guidance given by the executives, Han Dong wouldn't have been able to achieve the same effect in Game of Fate with 120% of his consciousness. At the same time, the intention of soaking his body in the white liquid was also very obvious. It was used to replenish the energy required by Han Dong's body during his advancement. The moment he reconnected his body, Han Dong felt both familiar and unfamiliar. His body had undergone a fundamental change during the opening of the door. As for the specifics, he would have to wait for Han Dong to thoroughly examine his body or go to the Fight Club to test the effects. You seem to have experienced quite an exciting opening. Senior, how can you tell? The time you take to open the door is more than 10 times the average time. You even sucked dry the white liquid I poured into the bathtub twice. No wonder you can deal with an official employee before you even open the door. Since it was forbidden to talk about the Game of Fate, the executives couldn't ask for more details. Senior, how long have I been lying here? A month. This is the first time I've seen the door open for such a long time. This also makes me look forward to your performance in the World Invasion War. By the way, during my free time, I inquired about some information from the management. There may be some changes to the invasion of the hybrid demon world. You have to pay attention and don't die in there. The guy in charge of this project is quite sinister. Even I was tricked by him several times. Changes? Senior, can you tell me the details? Information related to the Superworlds 01 is absolutely confidential. I only inquired about the changes in the plan from the outside. As for what the plan is and what the changes are, I don't know. However, you don't have to worry too much. It's not that easy to invade your world. You just have to protect yourself. Okay. Han Dong, of course, only agreed verbally. For the upcoming London game, Han Dong, who had already achieved the opening of the door, would definitely go all out. For Han Dong, this wasn't just an invasion war, but an important opportunity for all of humanity. The executive glanced at his watch and put on the whirlpool mask again. I still have some things to deal with. The hotel can wait until tomorrow to check out. You can arrange the time yourself. By the way, the new world of Tomb Lord has been completed. At the same time, it has established a connection with the Black Tower. You just have to go to the relevant office and you'll get 10% of the shares. Use it well. Okay. Han Dong was also very excited. He quickly got up from the bathtub and wrapped himself in a bath towel to send the executive off. The moment the executive left, Han Dong immediately returned to the bathtub. This large tank of white liquid couldn't be wasted. Even if the smell was a bit strange, it was still a top-grade tonic that couldn't be bought on the market. While soaking the bathtub again, he took out an eyeball from his brain. The black whirlpool on the surface of the eyeball was still spinning. Yuri Yinmi, The prophet's whirlpool eye description. This eye was taken from a life form that doesn't exist in the brain database. The eyeball itself has a spatial eye technique that can restrict space through staring. At the same time, this eyeball also has a foresight effect. Quality: Epic plus basic attributes. Sight range: A plus transparency. A dash nerve sensing. A dash magic resistance. S. Inherent characteristics: whirlpool. By staring at the target, it can create a black whirlpool that affects space. It can restrict, compress, and even forcibly absorb the target. The specific effect is related to the energy consumed, the individual's mastery of the eye technique, and the individual's spatial perception. First, passive. When the individual opens the whirlpool eye to fight, it can predict the opponent's actions in advance according to the opponent's strength, and can even predict different types of magic skills. Warning: this eyeball belongs to a semi-conscious individual and has an incomplete consciousness system. It can help it to survive in a separate state. It can even reach the level of a puppy that can forage for food through the whirlpool ability. It has a very strong xenophobic ability. It is recommended that the individual take control of the eyeball after opening the door, otherwise it will affect the individual's main consciousness. The last warning was the reason why Han Dong decided to accept the eyeball after opening the door. Also, the way to accept the eyeball was different from the way to accept the body. It was not a direct replacement. Han Dong intended to transfer the characteristics of the whirlpool eye and integrate it with the magic eye. Two superimposed together may produce a stronger effect, and then he would no longer have to be afraid of Eugenus' eyes. Come on. Han Dong referred to the eye-melting array in the Book of the Dead. I copy, drew it at the bottom of the bathtub, and then fixed the whirlpool eye in the center of the array through the hair. The array was activated. His thin filament tentacles like nerves grew from the surface of the magic eye, intertwined with each other, and connected to the whirlpool eye in the center of the array. In an instant, a liquid whirlpool formed in the bathtub, which came from the resistance of the whirlpool eye. An ownerless object wants to resist. I have the key to the void, which is exactly in line with your characteristics. Following me will be your best home. A will similar to that of a king instantly pressed against the whirlpool eye, and the whirlpool in the bathtub immediately dissipated. Suck. The tentacles derived from the magic eye were absorbing energy from the whirlpool eye, preventing it from completely drying up. The black whirlpool as a new pupil style appeared on the surface of the magic eye. At this point, the magic eye completed the upgrade, and Han Dong's vision also entered a new field. I suddenly miss Eugenus a little. I really want to try with him now and see whose eyes are stronger. Chapter 1280. Ground floor of the Black Tower. Employee office. Han Dong completed the replacement of the official employee nameplate here. At the same time, he also successfully received a share. Although the Tomb Lord's independent high-grade world, Land of the Undead, was ranked last among all the high-grade worlds, Han Dong believed that with the Tomb Lord's ability, he would be able to slowly develop it in a short period of time. Holding the shares in his hand gave him a sense of security. It was not the points gained from the shares itself. Instead, due to the current situation of Han Dong's world, the shares may play a vital role at critical moments, and even as a means to turn the tables. As for the corresponding reward for the investigation mission tomb, Han Dong could apply for a legendary material from the Black Tower, and it was also being processed. Please fill in your request in detail on the application form. The review department will select 3 legendary materials for you to choose from the Black Tower warehouse, according to your request. The whole process will take 24 to 72 hours. During the time before you get the materials, the detention fee will be waived. Thank you. Han Dong wanted to go back to London directly, so he would have to wait for a while. As soon as he stepped out of the office, Count's voice immediately came from his body. Nicholas, since you have to wait for a few days, why don't you go to the Fight Club? You're not comparable to before. The depth you've reached should be comparable to the top 10 origin substances. This Count must take this opportunity to wash away the shame. Huh? Didn't you say that you'll never participate in a fight again? You also seem to have made a promise. What was it if you fight again? Ahem. You must have misheard. This count wants you to participate in it personally. Our consciousness is tied together. Your victory is my victory. Besides, you haven't won a single victory since you joined the club. Don't you want to win once? Winning or losing is not important in the club, but what you said makes sense, Count. With my current physical condition, I do need to go to the club. I just need to go through a thorough fight to get rid of the discomfort in my body. Maybe I can even get the first victory. Come on, this Count is very optimistic about you. In fact, ever since Han Dong climbed out of the bathtub, left the Bayan Hotel, and went down to the ground floor to deal with various matters, Han Dong had not really adapted to his body. To be exact, he had not adapted to body after opening the door. Ever since he accepted the truth and returned to his body, Han Dong had a sense of disharmony with the material world. For example, in the past, when he made the action of reaching out, he didn't think much about it. The arm received the command of the brain and stretched forward. The individual wouldn't think about the principle behind it. It was just a very natural action. However, things were different now. When he made the action of reaching out, his consciousness would actively think about the operation mechanism, from the generation, release, and transmission of nerve signals, as well as the corresponding physical feedback, from the transcription and translation of nerve signals received by the nucleus to the formation of external actin and the overall operating framework of the muscle. In the meantime, the truth imprinted in Han Dong's mind would correct this extremely complicated process of reaching out. By using the simplest and most optimal material state to achieve the reach out, the overall energy consumption will be reduced by 60 to 80%. Han Dong called this situation truth constraint. Accepted by the abyss, the truth imprinted in the brain was correcting all kinds of unnecessary actions for the subject. It could even correct the flow of energy, casting spells, and even the activity of the tentacles. Han Dong, who had not adapted, was like a marionette. Even the most basic walking seemed very incoherent. Of course, once he adapted to the above process and turned it into a natural process, the effect would be significant. Not only would it be easier to move, but the release of various spells would also reduce the energy consumption and exert the greatest power. In addition, the truth imprinted in the mind would not only correct itself. When Han Dong collected information from the outside world, he would also carry out multiple layers of analysis. He would naturally analyze the composition, flow pattern, and density of the air, feed back various environmental information to the body, and then make the most optimal actions accordingly. All of this was like returning to the original state of matter, returning to the most primitive material movement. The meaning of atavism was also contained in it. Is this the change brought about by witnessing the truth? Cognition has been completely changed during the time when I accepted the truth. I began to focus on the essence of things and touch these essences. Han Dong walked toward the club with extremely uncoordinated movements. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind. "Brother Han Dong, congratulations on opening the door." Han Dong looked back in a very awkward posture. Headless, who was emitting a powerful aura, was sitting in the simple stall. "Brother Headless, why are you selling things here again? Didn't we meet here at first?" "Recently, the club is in a hurry to recruit people. I like to look for talents here. If a talented newcomer like you is not found in the early stages, you will inevitably be poached by other organizations later. Looking at you, are you going to the club to play? That's a good idea. Accept the truth and increase your cognition. If you want to adapt to the body in a short time, there is nothing more suitable than a fight. Moreover, looking at your current appearance, it seems that you have been inside the gate of truth for a long time. You can't even adapt to walking." Han Dong could only smile awkwardly. "Come with me. The rehabilitation exercise after opening the door is very important. I will find a more suitable opponent for you." "Thank you, Brother Headless." When the two walked back to the club, Headless asked, "By the way, why didn't you come to the club before opening the door? This is a big deal. Although you have opened the door and look good, it's better to report this kind of thing to the club. After all, you're also a member of the club. I remember that you hurriedly played a game in the club and asked me to guarantee your discharge before you recovered. Could it be that a force is providing you with better support to open the door? Brother Headless, you think too much. There's a big boss guiding me to open the door. Big boss? Who is it? I'm quite familiar with the Black Tower. I basically know the slightly famous guys. Which organization's leader is it? Or a manager of the Black Tower's internal company? It's a senior executive from the Black Tower, codenamed... I don't know his specific name. When Headless heard this sentence, the strong resentment surrounding Headless retracted into his body. He stopped and turned his pot-bellied body to Han Dong. Senior executive, codenamed... What does he look like? Or what ability does he have? Wearing a white whirlpool mask and a white suit? His ability is a white liquid, which is a kind of liquid that can repair and create substances. Headless was so scared that he almost took a step back. How can you be in contact with the Supreme Will? Supreme Will. It was the first time Han Dong heard this term. The M you are in contact with belongs to the top of the Black Tower. They represent the supreme will of the Black Tower, which belongs to the managers and rulers of this world. No wonder you didn't ask the club to open the door. With the help of such a powerful person, the effect will definitely be better than the club, unless the boss personally guides you. Can you tell me in detail what's going on? Chapter 1281. Fight Club. In the office of the branch manager, Headless wanted to nod, but he didn't have a head. So that's how it is. Luck and courage build a relationship for you. I'm also surprised. I didn't expect that there would be such an understanding executive among the members of the Supreme Will. You should know that your origin should be opposite to them. You must grasp this relationship well, whether it's for you or for the world you come from. I won't say much. Next, let's look at your data in the club. Through the projector embedded in the table, a member information chart about Han Dong was projected in front of him. Member, Han Dong. Type, Wisdom, Madness, Moderate Fighting. Record, 0 wins, 0 draws, 13 losses. Staring at his record, Han Dong was helpless. After all, he was the lowest in the Fight Club in terms of level, age, and experience, and Han Dong didn't specialize in the body. He was originally half a sorcerer. Your record is indeed terrible. You even won the title of the most miserable monthly. Of course, this has a lot to do with your young age. All the members of the club who have fought with you have a very high evaluation of you. As for the rehabilitation training of door opening, I will select a few shallow fighting members. You can choose by yourself. Headless accessed the Black Tower system with the authority of the manager and selected the members labeled as shallow fighting. Shallow, what does that mean? Fighting depth is a simple definition given by the boss at the beginning. Here, depth doesn't mean who is strong or weak. It just represents the different styles of the individual or the desire to destroy the body. Members labeled as shallow are often good at jiu-jitsu. This kind of member would not cause too much damage to the body. They usually won the fight by suppressing and destroying the joints and acupoints. They were also very popular among the other members. After all, everyone wanted to stay in the hospital for less days. For someone like you who has a moderate tag, it means that some of your moves will cause damage to the body during combat. As for the severe label, their skills and means will damage the body to a large extent, such as biting, clawing, breaking bones, explosions, and so on. The club often arranges battles through the tag of fighting depth to prevent a member from continuously fighting with a heavy member as much as possible. Otherwise, even with the support of medical institutions, it is easy to die. I see. Come, these members are quite suitable. You can choose one yourself. Just as Headless provided the 5 shallow members, the office door was forcefully pushed open by someone without knocking. Headless, you're really here. Long time no see. How have you been? Facing the rude intruder, not only was Headless not angry, the fat all over his body was trembling. He immediately put aside the matter at hand and hurried forward to welcome this old friend. West Marrow, you actually managed to come back alive. Dark golden bone spot has formed. Congratulations. Looks like your dream has come true in ultimate fate. Let's head over to the Big Bird Bar for a good drink tonight. They've added a lot of new activities to the bar. Let's have a good time. Han Dong turned around to take a look. This old friend of Headless was actually a skeleton wearing overalls and a straw hat. The exposed joints revealed a strange dark golden bone spot, which looked like an ancient inscription that contained divinity. Good. My bones can barely keep up with the speed of the Big Bird. Is this the new member you've recruited? He seems to have just opened the door. His movements are still very uncoordinated. West Marrow looked at Han Dong with his empty eye sockets and seemed to be somewhat puzzled. Yes, this young man is quite good. I'm currently choosing a shallow member as his sparring partner so that he can adapt to his body condition after opening the door. West Marrow was suddenly interested. Rehabilitation training, I'm good at this. There's no need to choose, just let me do it. This is not in accordance with the club's rules. The level difference between the two of you is too big. I can't arrange a sparring match. If the boss finds out, both of us will be beaten up. Your office is quite spacious. Can't you just do it here? Headless had a difficult expression, but he had a good relationship with this old friend of his. It was not good to refuse after so many years. He quickly pulled his old friend to the side and whispered, West Marrow, I'm quite optimistic about this kid. Don't mess around. Tonight's dinner is on me. You just came out from Ultimate Fate. Go report to the boss first. Of course I know this kid is different. The physical disorder caused by truth constraint can actually make him walk awkwardly. This kid must have fallen into the abyss for a long time. He's a genius. A simple sparring match might not be able to achieve the effect of rehabilitation. Don't you remember that I used to be the club's coach? Don't worry, I won't kill him. Headless naturally knew some of his old friend's bad habits. He could only add, this kid has a secret relationship with the highest consciousness. Be careful. The highest consciousness? Looks like I really can't kill him. I'll be careful. You. I'm just kidding. Let the kid warm up and get ready to start. Just as Han Dong was dumbfounded, a voice suddenly sounded. An unexpected rehabilitation training was completed without Kieran agreeing to it. Han Dong even said that he wanted to take his first victory in the club. Now, not only was his plan delayed, it was very likely that he would lie in the hospital for another 10 days to half a month. Han Dong, if the situation is not right, I'll immediately stop it. You can rest assured about this. Also, West Marrow used to be the club's coach. He has a lot of experience in rehabilitation training. In short, just do your best. Han Dong could tell that there was a hidden question in his words, so he asked him secretly through voice sending. Brother Headless, why is manager West Marrow no longer a coach? During his time as a coach, he accidentally beat a member to death. Even the club's medical facilities couldn't save him. This incident even forced the club to accept Black Tower's request to close down and rectify the situation. The impact was huge. However, with me here, you can rest assured. West Marrow is my close friend. The situation has already been explained. He'll cooperate with your rehabilitation training. Okay, at this moment, Manager West Marrow took the initiative to lower his level to the same level as Han Dong, atavism. He took off his overalls and straw hat. Slowly, he entered a special state of preparation for battle. West Marrow's seemingly thin and weak skeletal body began to package his skeleton by secreting white bone components from his spine. The white bone components flowed throughout his body, forming a sound muscle system. It was Han Dong's first time seeing such a high density and ossified muscle tissue. It was like a perfect work of art. Han Dong could faintly feel that his opponent's purity was extremely high. His danger level was instantly raised to the maximum. Crack! There was the sound of bones moving. West Marrow had already entered the attack range. He threw a punch. The eye of the fist was facing up, and the heart of the fist was facing inward. Crushing fist. This made Headless, who was watching from the side, pale. This guy. It's really hard to change the roots of evil. He knows that Han Dong is still in the rehabilitation stage, but he used such a killer move right at the start. As a member of the club, one of the characteristics of West Marrow was heavy fighting. His special bones gave him extremely destructive fist techniques. Headless quickly released a large amount of resentment, intending to wrap Han Dong's body to reduce most of the impact. A whirlpool I opened between Han Dong's eyebrows. First of all, indeed, Han Dong had yet to adapt to the unnatural feeling brought by accepting the truth. Of course, when a life-threatening danger approached, his instincts would be triggered, and his brain would instantly reach the maximum load state to analyze the situation in front of him. Bone density, energy transmission, impact speed given by the joints, force vector, and so on, coupled with the effect of, first of all, provided by the whirlpool eye, coupled with his own understanding of the truth, he carried out a general data analysis. The moment the fist arrived, he obtained the results of the calculation. In an instant, Han Dong actually had a feeling of seeing through the essence of things. His originally uncoordinated body suddenly gave the best response. Boom! The sound of crushing fist hitting echoed in the office. At the place where the fist hit, he could even see the air membrane instantly torn apart. What's with the feeling of hitting just now? West Marrow stared at his fist with a puzzled look. He obviously hit a person, but he felt like he was sinking into the deep sea. Moreover, Han Dong, who was hit, did not have his body penetrated by the crushing fist, spit out blood, or explode on the spot. Han Dong's body rotated at an extremely high speed in the air, and after eliminating all the power of the punch, he landed steadily against the wall. There was only a shallow fist mark on the waist that was hit, and there was no physical injury. Drip, drip, drip. However, there was a lot of nosebleed in the nasal cavity that was not hit, mixed with a little light yellow brain matter. The huge amount of information processing just now almost burned Han Dong's brain. Chapter 1282. Both Headless and West Marrow were stunned by Han Dong's performance. It was not enough. West Marrow did not take the opportunity to attack. Instead, he waited for Han Dong to deal with the brain problem. Although his methods were cruel, since he had promised his friend he would do his best in this rehabilitation training. You analyzed the path of strength of my punch in advance, and used the technique of dissolving the force to eliminate the impact in your body? Of course, the fundamental reason you were able to take this punch was because of your mastery of the truth. You should be able to get used to it after a few more times. I'll give you 10 seconds to recover. Thank you. Han Dong had already closed his eyes, concentrating on his brain's recuperation. Is this the effect of accepting the truth? With the improvement of my knowledge of matter and the vortex ability I just acquired, I can perform a comprehensive and detailed analysis of the attack in front of me. But because the opponent was too strong and there was too much data, my brain almost stopped working. However, the effect is quite good. I'm gradually getting used to this feeling. Fortunately, I still have some high-level fluid. It shouldn't be against the rules to use it now. Han Dong did not waste any of it. The white liquid in the bathtub was collected when Han Dong left and stored in the brain laboratory. As part of the white liquid was injected into the brain, the liquid spread between the sulci and immediately eliminated the discomfort in the brain. It was similar to using liquid nitrogen to cool down an overclocked CPU. When he opened his eyes again, his body's movements were obviously not as disorderly as before. 10 seconds were up. Coach West Marrow's body made strange noises, but his appearance did not change. This is spring structure. Magic Eye X-ray, a main skeleton of West Marrow's arm, was divided into 500 segments and connected to each other by an extremely elastic cartilage. Before the punch, the cartilage spring structure in the arm was compressed to the extreme. The power of this punch was several times stronger than the previous one. I can't dodge it at all. Han Dong, who realized that he could not dodge, could only take it head-on. Due to the integration of the elastic parameters produced by the multiple segments of the bones, it was equivalent to adding 500 ordinary differential equations to the original foundation. When such a huge amount of data was stuffed into the brain, Blood spurted out of his nose, and his brain buzzed. The punch hit the right side of his waist. The acceleration effect of the layers of bones brought about a penetrating force similar to a spear. Force dissipation failed. Boom! This punch not only penetrated Han Dong's abdomen, but also the wall behind him. Next door was a free-for-all arena. Han Dong, who was spinning at high speed and spitting out blood, happened to fall between the two combatants. The loud explosion and the situation of the wall being penetrated attracted the attention of all the members present. The club had a clear rule that the sparring between the two parties had to be limited to a certain area. If there was any damage to the scene, they would have to accept high compensation. If the damage was serious, their reputation in the club would be reduced. I'm sorry, we're in the middle of rehabilitation training. Please continue. West Marrow shot through the wall. After a simple explanation of the situation, he grabbed Han Dong, who was spinning in the air and spitting out blood, and dragged him back to continue training. Then, a large amount of bone was secreted from the west medulla, sealing the damaged wall. This stunned all the members. Could that be the demon coach, West Marrow? I heard that after he was fired by the boss, he was active in the club as an ordinary member. He belongs to the category of heavy fighting, which is extremely dangerous. Why is he still doing rehabilitation training for someone? I think I've seen that kid before. Last time, he was almost beaten to death by Mr. Glass. All his organs were pierced with glass shards, and he was carried away by the medical team with rotten flesh hanging from his body. Now that you mention it, I remember him too. There's a new young man in our club who hasn't opened yet. It's him. I saw his match with Split Hoof. His broken ribs sprayed out from his mouth. He's a real man. I didn't expect to meet West Marrow again. This young man is really pitiful. In the leaderless office, Han Dong, who was lying on the ground, was moaning in pain. The punch just now pierced through the right side of his waist. The scene was too bloody to show. Due to his acceptance of the truth, Han Dong would also take the initiative to analyze the injury. Correspondingly, this would also make the pain worse. Serious injuries are also the only way for you to adapt to the truth. I'll give you 10 more seconds. No matter how much Han Dong screamed in pain on the ground, West Marrow simply raised his finger in front of Seiji's face and counted down in a hurry. Seiji's bones were also changing accordingly. Every second, there would be the sound of bones cracking. This meant that Seiji's bones were increasing in weight. The density of West Marrow's right leg was also increasing exponentially. The weight of his entire right leg had exceeded 1 ton, and it was still increasing. 3, 2, 1, asterisk boom. Asterisk Seiji stomped down on Han Dong's head, causing the entire office to shake violently. This feeling again. It seems that only piercing attacks will be effective. Pure weight will also be neutralized. When West Marrow stomped down, he felt as if he was stepping on the surface of a lake again. Even though a large amount of water splashed up, it didn't affect the surface of the lake. Han Dong had already left the ground. He leaned against the wall with one hand covering the wound on his waist. Not bad. You were able to endure the pain at the critical moment and dodge this kick. It seems that you're getting familiar with pain. I'll give you 10 more seconds. Thank you. Seiji's face was pale, and he was sweating profusely. Han Dong was thinking about the problem of pain. I didn't expect that the improvement in my understanding of matter would lead to the recognition of physical pain. This feeling is too subtle. It magnifies the pain by several dozen times, but the effect is also very good. It can heal injuries at the fastest speed and with the highest efficiency. Is this the strength of the atavistic body? No wonder Origin Substance can display such high strength in certain aspects. It should be through understanding the truth and maximizing one of their own characteristics. Thanks to Coach West Marrow, I've grasped the essence of this. 10 seconds. Han Dong tried his best to suppress the pain to a minimum. His body had gradually broken free from the shackles of the truth during the series of activities just now. Hey, is it because you're using your brain to adapt to your body and analyze my attack that you don't have the space to think about the environment? Why are you still standing against the wall? The piercing injury on your waist was caused by you not being able to use your technique because you were against the wall. 10 seconds are up. I won't go easy on you. Crack, crack, crack. Once again, a spring structure formed between his arms. Unlike last time, West Marrow was no longer aiming at the waist, but Han Dong's head. In an instant, Han Dong's vision was covered by a fist the size of a sandbag. There was no way to dodge. The punch hit. Boom. When West Marrow delivered this punch, his expression became a little ugly. The impact was obviously different from before. It feels like this extremely large fluid again. It's thicker, similar to a quagmire. Also, something feels wrong. The place where the fist hit. The air did not explode. Instead, it spread out in a regular manner like ripples. The head that was hit was deflecting with the force. The deflection of the head led to the rotation of the neck. In a similar way, the force of this punch spread throughout the body. It spread to every corner of the body, allowing all the cells to bear the weight of this punch. Not only that, while bearing this piercing force, Han Dong continued to use the characteristics of his body to transfer the scattered force to his right arm. Through the transmission of muscles, bones, and tentacles, all the force was concentrated in the area of his right arm. Underworld blood dog arm. When a right fist was thrown, a kind of crazy barking sound could be faintly heard. The moment Han Dong's head was hit, he twisted his body and threw out his right fist. He successfully hit Coach West Marrow's head. The whole process could be described as smooth as flowing water. The overall linkage was less than 0.1 seconds, giving Coach West Marrow no time to react at all. Boom! A tearing storm spread out at the point of impact. Han Dong's right arm was completely destroyed by the reaction force of this punch. Blood spurted out crazily. Coach West Marrow was directly sent flying. He crashed through the office door and rolled at the end of the corridor. His skull was completely deformed, with a large area of bone fractures. His body was slightly twitching. West Marrow, although headless, was shocked by the scene in front of him. He did not think and hurried forward. He was not concerned about West Marrow's injury. West Marrow was injured because he suppressed his level to the same level as Han Dong. Headless' purpose of going forward was to suppress West Marrow's violent desire. This punch caused West Marrow to go berserk. If things went wrong, West Marrow might really die. Chapter 1283. Fight Club, Tawai Hospital Private Ward. Room 2103. Han Dong was lying on a hospital bed with plaster all over his body. It had been a whole week since the rehabilitation training. Han Dong's surgery was completed one after another. He was in a critical condition and could be discharged in a few days. Such a serious injury came from the second half of the rehabilitation training. Due to a punch to Shi Marrow's skull, it caused a destructive injury. Although Brother Headless hurried forward to suppress him, Shi Marrow, who controlled his temper, still asked for the rehabilitation training to continue. The follow-up training seemed normal, but the intensity was greatly increased. Han Dong, who was getting more and more tired, accidentally ended up like this. 0 wins, 0 draws, 14 losses. It was still a long way to go to get the first victory in the club. At this time, the door of the ward opened from the outside. Han Dong habitually turned his butt to the door so that the nurse could take care of him. As a result, there was a slap. A slap gently fell on Han Dong's butt. "It's me, Brother Headless, Coach Shi Marrow." When he saw the skeleton-like West Marrow again, Han Dong subconsciously moved his body. Fortunately, he was restrained by the headless body. Otherwise, this movement would probably tear his wound open and he would have to stay in the hospital for a few more days. Shi Marrow took the initiative to come with me. He has something to say to you. Okay, Coach Shi Marrow, please go ahead. First of all, I apologize to you. I did hit you too hard that day. I'm here today mainly to check your physical condition and see the effect of the rehabilitation training. Then, Shi Marrow's skeleton finger gently touched Han Dong's cervical vertebra. Immediately, a cold bone fluid flowed down the cervical vertebra and spread all over the body. He said he was here to check on Han Dong's condition. In fact, the bone essence from Shimero could effectively heal injuries, especially on the bones. It could also replenish the bone marrow stem cells and revitalize the whole body's bones. Well, your recovery condition is very good. Divinity acceptance often requires a long process to adapt to. After all, any life form will have a new understanding of the material world after witnessing the truth. Many things will become complicated because of the involvement of the concept of truth. However, your situation is more strange than the other door openers. Well, what do you mean? Han Dong quickly asked. You also know that the style of the gate of truth is related to the characteristics of the individual. The gate of truth that everyone sees is different. Therefore, the truths that individuals pry into were mostly related to their own characteristics. Under normal circumstances, for individuals who had just opened their doors, due to the increase in their cognitive level, they would need to re-understand the various abilities they had learned before. They might even be unable to use certain abilities or spells for a period of time. This is called truth limitation. Once the concept of truth was combined with one's ability, breaking through the limits, the individual would be able to use their abilities more efficiently, more deeply, and more comprehensively. This was the necessity of rehabilitation training. The truth restriction mentioned above was limited to ability. However, your performance covers all your movements. Even basic movements, such as walking and breathing, are restricted. You must have fallen into the abyss for a long time, right? Han Dong tried to hide the fact that he had reached the bottom of the abyss. According to the guide, my opening time is 10 times longer than the normal time. 10 times? No wonder. Headless, and I only reached 3 times the normal value back then. It seems that the truth in the deep area also includes the elaboration of the benchmark substance. Headless and I are close friends. We want to talk about this. Shimero was very clear that these questions were Han Dong's privacy, so he did not ask more. He did not continue to stay there. When he left, he said softly to Headless, "You really picked up a treasure. If such a guy can be trained, the boss will definitely be tempted. It's a pity that this guy's background is related to that world. See you at the Big Burr Bar tonight. We'll talk about it then." Okay. Just as Shimero was about to leave the ward, Han Dong's voice was heard. "Thank you for your guidance, Coach Shimero. Well, take care of yourself." With this, there is only one acquaintance left in the ward. Headless sat on the edge of the bed with a stool. At the same time, he put his big belly on Han Dong's bed. Of course, a round of praise was inevitable. He did not expect Han Dong to be able to injure Shimero in a spar and almost break his skull. "There's one more thing that I came to visit you this time. It's about your world." "What is it?" "You also know that the club's members cover many worlds. 2 days ago, I accidentally heard a member talking about the situation in your world. He mentioned a keyword, multiple invasion." "Multiple invasion?" "I'm not sure about the specific situation. This matter involves the higher-ups, and it's not something a commoner like me can interfere. In short, you have to be careful." When Han Dong heard this, he also remembered the warning from the higher-ups. They said that the invasion plan had changed. If that was the case, he had to bring the information back. A week passed. Han Dong, who was discharged from the hospital, had no intention of staying. He immediately rushed to the Black Tower office. He was ready to receive the legendary material reward and return immediately. In addition to reporting some information obtained in the Black Tower to Mother Evernight, it was also time to meet up with the Knights. He still had some questions to discuss with Demps. "Mr. Han Dong, according to the wish application you submitted, the 3 pre-selected legendary materials have been sorted out in the form of an illustrated handbook. Please choose one of them as your reward. The Black Tower will send it to you through personal channels within an hour." "Okay, let me take a look. By the way, there's one more thing. It's found that you have treasure map fragments X2. If you're not satisfied with the 3 legendary materials, there's an additional option here. Use your existing treasure map fragments to directly receive a complete treasure map." Huh. If the staff didn't mention it, Han Dong would have forgotten about the treasure fragments. According to the prompt, he needed to collect 5 fragments to piece together a complete treasure map. At that time, when he passed through the Gate of Destiny, he could use the treasure map to enter the corresponding world of the treasure map. There was a treasure chest hidden inside that could open legendary equipment. Correspondingly, the difficulty of the event was naturally high. However, Han Dong also remembered his agreement with someone at this time. After carefully reviewing the legendary materials provided by the Black Tower, Han Dong finally chose to return the materials. I choose treasure map. Okay, please wait a moment. The complete treasure map will be sent to your personal account through authorization. When you go to the Black Tower next time, you can choose to open the treasure world. Good luck. Okay. The agreement that Han Dong remembered was the Grimm's Pact at the end of the previous game in London. Grimm planned to rope in several primordial spirits and use Han Dong as a guide to go on a journey of destiny. Since there were strong companions, Han Dong could also make good use of it. As for the legendary materials provided by the Black Tower, they were just scraps and did not involve the core. It was far from being a finished equipment. Let's go back. The knights should not be too far away from London. It's time to return. Chapter 1284. After the large-scale battle in Minano City ended, the victorious expeditionary army received the recognition of a certain king and a special invitation. The expeditionary army was invited to rush to London within a year and a half. For more details, please refer to Chapter 1096, Demon Sensing. With the unanimous opinion of all the commanders and deputy commanders, the original expedition plan was reduced and compressed, resulting in a plan that would allow them to reach London within a year. Due to the intervention of the king, the following expedition could be said to be smooth and unhindered. When passing through the territory of the hybrid demons, as long as the knights did not take the initiative to attack, the hybrid demons, who had always viewed humans as food and even hated them, would actively avoid them. There were very few neutral hybrid demons who were even willing to take the initiative to accept the expeditionary army passing by. They would send envoys to have friendly exchanges with the commanders and were willing to provide basic accommodation. Of course, these friendly invitations from the hybrid demons were all rejected by the expeditionary army. If they really had to rest in the manors or towns of the hybrid demons for a night, even if the other party was really kind, the pollution index of the knights would definitely rise rapidly. Similarly, using this opportunity, the expeditionary army would occasionally conduct large amounts of gold mining to ensure the normal operation of the endless energy. In addition, through the secret text provided by the Secret Word Knights, the knights obtained a lot of chaotic materials in the depths of valleys, at the bottom of rivers, or in some ruins. After sending the materials to the mobile sanctum for purification, they could be used by the knights. Speaking of purification, one had to mention the biggest problem of the expedition outside the city: pollution. When humans were in the hybrid demon world, pollution was always the most dangerous thing. In order to deal with pollution, the Holy Knights came up with a plan: division, treatment, and abandonment of the fallen. This plan was unanimously approved in the meeting on the eve of the expedition and was fully applied to the Great Expedition. First, according to the different degrees of pollution, there were 4 types of situations. 1. Hallucinations. Individuals would occasionally hear whispers and mistake their teammates as distorted hybrid demons. Even when touching normal objects, they would feel that they were touching rotten flesh, rotting corpses, sticky tentacles, and other unclean things. 2. Evil writing. Other than one type of situation, the structure of the individual's vocal cords would change. Sometimes they would talk to themselves in an ancient language that did not belong to humans and would pollute other individuals around them. Or they might inadvertently write some ancient words on their bodies, directly affecting their intimate partners or companions. 3. Corruption. Appearance of hybrid demon characteristics such as tentacles, dense holes, multiplied eyeballs, multiple teeth, exposed internal organs, etc. The percentage of corruption is less than 30% of the body. The percentage of corruption in the brain is less than 10%. 4. Corruption. The corruption rate exceeds the third condition. This type of situation would be treated by the nearby Saint-level Knights and would be sent to the mobile sanctum within a week for a review. Type 2 cases require immediate treatment at the sanctum and quarantine for at least 3 days. The 3 types of cases required combined treatment. When purified by a high-grade priest, the doctor of the Scarlet Knights would also amputate the limbs and change the blood of the whole body, if necessary. The isolation time should be more than 15 days. 4 types of cases would not be treated, and their lifelong rights would be deprived and abandoned. If the situation is serious, they will be treated as hybrid demons and executed on the spot. The initial treatment and abandonment were all within his control. But when crossing the English Channel, the dual effects of Evernight and Sea Region caused the Expeditionary Army's pollution rate to exceed a controllable value. The mobile sanctum was full of people, and a large number of Class 2 patients could not go to the sanctum for treatment. They could only build isolation cabins inside the various troops. Due to not being purified in time, plus the impact of the voyage, the number of the 3 types of corruptors and the 4 types of corrupted ones continued to accumulate. In the end, the great demon captain made the decision, forced abandonment. About 17% of the knights sank in the English Channel. These corrupted ones did not die and would find their new home in the deep sea. These abandoned knights were like the toll paid by the Expeditionary Army to the sea. Now, the Expeditionary Army had already landed on the English mainland and was not far from the city of London. Expeditionary Army Central Facility, Demon King's Castle, all the captains were gathered in the hall. With 1 day's journey left, the Expeditionary Army would reach the Dark Forest and officially enter the city of London. This was also the first time in human history that a 1,000-man army had set foot on a large territory under the jurisdiction of the old king. If everything went well, they would reach the city of London 4 months in advance. The voice of the great demon captain resounded in the castle. After we pass through the Dark Forest, we will set up a temporary camp in the London Basin. The equipment related to darkness dispelling has been completed from the technical assistance of the Steam Knights and will be distributed in units. Once the camp is set up, I will personally go to the city of London and negotiate with Mother Evernight. The Grim Reaper, shrouded in a cloak, asked, "Do you need me to accompany you?" "No need. You and Malone are the highest combat power of the Expeditionary Army. You need to stay in the camp to ensure the overall safety. My previous experience has given me a trump card to negotiate with the old king. Moreover, we also have an invitation from the old king from the distant starry sky. Mother Evernight will definitely receive me. I will ask them why they took the initiative to invite us to the city of London. At the same time, they will strive to win a non-polluted area for us." Olivia, who was in charge of the purification work, suddenly suggested, "Great demon, I hope that during the negotiation period, you can apply to Mother Evernight for the right to use the Gate of Destiny. Since we have arrived 4 months in advance, some of the knights can use this time. The free treatment and pollution removal provided by the Realm of Destiny can greatly reduce the pressure on the sanctuary. Since we crossed the English Channel, the sanctuary's load has never dropped below 90%. We, the Holy Knights, need to have a good rest and reduce the load to at least 50%. Yes, I will do my best to apply. There is no time to lose. Let's go." After the mechanical deity assistants distributed light devices similar to kerosene lamps to every squad of the Expeditionary Army, they officially entered the Dark Forest. At the same time, the dark beings entrenched here had received orders to stay away from the area. After passing through the outer Dark Forest, they stepped into the London Basin. The grand and huge city of London, which was comparable to the Holy City, caused the marching speed to involuntarily slow down, as expected of a king-level territory under the old king. To a large extent, it retains the architectural characteristics of the original humans. The hybrid demons also live here in the form of humans. There are also many villages in the form of religions established outside the city. What is that area? The City of London template provided by the Secret Word Knights does not have such an area. Is this a new sub-city? Why does it feel so out of place with the City of London? The various commanders used the Eye of Expedition to capture such an image. It was a sealed area derived from the side of the City of London. Wisps of dark energy that did not belong to the Evernight kept rising from this sub-city. Even the clouds above were dyed black, as if an extremely evil, sacrificial ritual was being carried out. Chapter 1285. Before the arrival of the Expeditionary Army, Han Dong, who left the Destiny Realm, immediately arranged for the doctor to go back to the manor and work on the zombies, while he would return later. There was one point that needed to be explained. The doctor, who experienced such a destiny event with Han Dong, received a gift from the Destiny Realm. Although the doctor's evolution method corresponded to the alternate demon path and could not use destiny points. However, he could obtain a certain core ability from the destiny system to strengthen. Correspondingly, the main body's brain became more complete and the gears embedded in it became smoother. Whether it was the brain's tentacles, thinking ability, or related brain domain mysterious ability, all were improved. However, the doctor was most concerned about the zombie technology brought back from Tomb and even a trace of the death aura from the Tomb Lord. The zombie refinement project officially started. The doctor wanted to introduce zombie technology to let the ghouls obtain a kind of hardness from the zombies, and at the same time introduce mechanical technology from the zombie kingdom. If possible, he would also let the ghouls learn zombie collection and practice martial arts. Staring at the doctor who was leaving, Han Dong was also quite pleased. Being able to recruit a similar like the doctor is also considered a blessing. Otherwise, if all the research in the manor were to be on my head, I would not have enough energy. The information obtained from a Black Tower must be let Mother know. Perhaps the entire process of the London game will change. Han Dong stood on the bank of the River Thames and jumped down. The moment he sank into the river, all light was deprived. Even with night vision, he could only see darkness. Only through the vortex formed by the magic could he barely see the situation in front of him. Following the dense and dark river, he continued to sink. At the bottom corresponded to a special membrane, which was the dividing line between London's surface and underground. After passing through the membrane, the wet Han Dong landed in a special secret room. It was the core part of his mother's palace, called the Dark Chamber. Throne, deep black well, the Black Well, engraved with the image of a witch and covered with black inscriptions, stood at the front of the chamber. Any old Wangdu had their own throne. His mother, whose body was wrapped in a black gauze dress, was sitting at the mouth of the well in a human form. The tentacles that covered the entire area of the bedroom originated from his mother's hair. The smooth, soft, flat, and dark tentacles seemed to have constructed a special black bed in the bedroom, and Han Dong happened to land in the middle of the bed. I didn't expect you to successfully open the door before the game. You seem to be in a good state, and the gray aura has become denser. After opening the door, one would need a long period of rest and adaptation. The truth was like darkness, and one needed time to slowly adapt to it. You should be recuperating in your manner. What are you doing here? When his mother looked to Han Dong, her eyes would always reveal a unique charm. It wasn't that she had thoughts about Han Dong, but that she was infatuated with the gray matter emitted from Han Dong's body. As such, he did not give off any king's might as he spoke, and his tone was quite amiable. Replying to Mother, when I was in the Destiny Realm, I received an important piece of information from an acquaintance. Fate's invasion of us might not only involve a Saint-Tier world, but might involve multiple planes. The entire invasion plan seemed to have been revised. The specifics are highly classified information of fate, and even I do not know. Han Dong thought that this information would cause his mother to fall into a state of anxiety, and immediately began a series of in-depth questions, as well as a mental check to ensure the authenticity of the information. Unexpectedly, his mother's expression did not change at all. She was still staring at Han Dong's head with a charming gaze. Oh, is that so? I will find time to tell my lord. Is there anything else? Although Han Dong did not understand his mother's attitude, it was not appropriate for him to continue asking. He believed that his mother would definitely report it to her superiors, and when the time came, those old kings who were watching over London would definitely make corresponding arrangements. There is one other thing. Mother, do you know where the human expeditionary army is? How far are they from London? The humans have already landed in England. They will arrive in about a month. So soon? I hope that you can give me a certain amount of power so that the expeditionary army can enter London normally. My general idea is to vacate the eastern part of London, and I will personally set up a pollution-free zone. I hope that you can approve of this. Sure. This group of humans has received an invitation letter from the Void. They are also an important part of the London game. It is good that you can personally take care of their living issues. Moreover, Father Lysos is in charge of the matters on the land. You also have the identity of a bishop of the night, so you can do it directly. Thank you, Mother. When Han Dong was about to leave the bedroom, his mother, who was sitting at the mouth of the well, suddenly disappeared. A wave of darkness came and enveloped Han Dong in layers. Immediately after, a sticky, flat tongue with dense tentacles suddenly stuck to Han Dong's cheek and slowly licked up, not letting go of any inch of skin. It could be seen that his mother was quite infatuated with Han Dong's head, which was similar to the old king's gray matter. Let me lick you for a day, or even half a day. If you need anything in London, just let me know. Okay, in the face of benefits, Han Dong tried his best to give in. Just a lick would not make him pregnant. More importantly, the expeditionary force might arrive 4 months in advance. At that time, he could also take advantage of the convenience given by his mother to allow humans to live a more comfortable life in London. This lick lasted for a day. When Han Dong returned to the manor, there was already a wisp of black smoke that was similar to the aura of death slowly rising. Doctor's progress is really fast. Sigh, I have no choice but to be licked by my mother for a day. Let's go back and take a bath first. The journey of destiny lasted for more than 4 months. Han Dong even forgot that there was a special guest living in the manor. Lord's private room. The moment he opened the door, Han Dong was stunned. This is the Toad Wall. Oh yes, Miss Meritus has been living here all this time. She actually completed a molting during this period. He stared at the Toad Wall that had been integrated with the room. Han Dong restrained his breath and quietly opened the bathroom door. The first thing that was reflected in his eyes, occupying 80% of his vision, was an iconic big meat leg. There were several crystal, clear water droplets standing on the surface, resting on the side of the bathtub. Mary was sleeping soundly in the bathtub. The molting not only made her skin fairer, but also made her look 5 years younger. As if she smelled a familiar scent in the air, her big, watery eyes suddenly opened. Nicholas, you're back. The moist, tender, and childlike new skin immediately stuck to Han Dong's body. If it was anyone else, they would not be able to stand it. Fortunately, Mr. Han was not considered a human. You have the smell of another woman on your body. It smells bad, and there is saliva on your face. Mary moved away from Han Dong with a look of disgust. I went to my mother's place in advance, but she was very interested in my head. Mary heard this and quickly covered her mouth. At the same time, she poked her head out of the bathroom and looked around. If what she said just now was spread out, she would definitely be killed by her mother. Don't worry, this is my manor. No one will hear it. Miss Mary, come with me to do something. Why do you want to do something as soon as you come back? Don't you want to take a bath with me? I need to transform the eastern part of London into a pollution-free area. First, I need to remove the dark matter. Your water should be useful. Go change your clothes first. I'll take a bath alone. Of course, if you don't mind, you can come in later and scrub my back. Chapter 1286. His vision returned to the normal timeline. The expeditionary force had passed through the dark forest and arrived at the heart of London. A few knights with dark vision could stand on high ground and see the true appearance of London. According to the plan, the expeditionary force would temporarily camp in the outer basin, and then the great demon captain would go to London for the first negotiation. Click, 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 the north gate of London opened outwards. A long black river flowed out from inside and headed toward the expeditionary force. Such a strange scene forced the captains to work together and gather at the front of the army. When the river approached, they realized that it was not a real river. It was a group of dark cult members. Their bodies were shrouded in black moon robes. They walked at the same pace as if they were gliding. There were black candles on both sides of their shoulders. It was the intertwining of the dark areas caused by the burning of the candles that created such a river effect when they moved forward together. The leader was a chief priest who was in the late stage of atavism. When he took off his hood, his face was painted with ancient scriptures. The chief priest's attitude toward humans was neutral. This time, he was following the orders of a certain lord to go out of the city to welcome the expeditionary force. When he stepped forward and tried to communicate with the leading human captain, a wave of pressure from the captains almost extinguished the candles on his shoulders. With the darkness of the land deed and the whole of London as his back, he was able to suppress the fear in his heart and the trembling of his body. So strong. There are actually existences comparable to the king among the humans, and there's more than one. Strange. They clearly do not have the qualifications to obtain the throne. So why do they have such strength? The chief priest searched for the three presences comparable to the old king and looked at the source. Scorching heat, strong pressure, and tyrannical thunder corresponded to the terrifying man with the ash crown on his head. There seemed to be a strange long horn on his forehead. Thunder silver, ultimate, and death thunder corresponded to a mysterious man with a thin figure wrapped in a cloak. The chief priest did not even dare to look at him. As long as he looked at this person, he felt that his soul was being held by a silver scythe and could be harvested at any time. Even hiding in the darkness could not weaken this feeling of death. Thunder rule, seal, and infinite thunder corresponded to the white-skinned man in front of the chief priest. His skin was gelatinous, and there was no obvious mouth structure. If he was not with the knights, he would not even be recognized as a human. Welcome, human knights from afar. We represent the Black Moon Order and follow the will of the bishop to welcome you. The eastern part of the city of London has been renovated into a separate, pollution-free area that can accommodate 10,000 people. Please follow us into the city. What? A pollution-free area with a population of 10,000 has been vacated. A hint of doubt appeared in the great devil's eyes. The pollution-free zone was an important condition that he proposed when negotiating with his mother. Now, it had been realized before he even entered the city. One had to know that in order to transform the hybrid demon city into a pollution-free area, moreover, it was a large area that could accommodate the entire expeditionary army. This was a huge project. The great demon's original plan was to use the mobile sanctum as the center for a month-long cleansing and construction of a residence after reaching an agreement with his mother. Yes, His Eminence has considered your arrival in advance and completed the renovation 3 days ago. At present, the eastern city had become completely independent. Mother had also withdrawn all the darkness through her control of the land deed. If you still have any doubts about this explanation, you can send an emissary to follow me to the Eastern District in advance for an inspection. All right, I'll go with you. The great devil did not dare to let the knights take the risk, although the hybrid demons had been very friendly along the way. However, it was also possible that they had set up a huge trap in the end. For example, they could use the city of London as a sacrificial array to vaporize the entire expeditionary army and turn them into sacrifices for a certain old king. Great devil, I'll go as well. I can confirm whether the area given by the other party has reached the standard of pollution-free. The one who suggested the meeting was Commander Olivia. She was wearing a pure and holy dress with a white veil covering her face. Yes, the two of us will go and investigate. Is that all right? Yes, please follow me. The chief priest also wanted to test the abilities of the two strongest human beings. With the help of the darkness, the chief priest turned into a wisp of dark aura and rushed into the city at the fastest speed possible. In just a few seconds, he reached the bottom of the city gate from the edge of the basin. When the darkness reformed into a human form, he turned his head. The great devil and the high priest were still standing beside him. The distance between them had not changed at all. The chief priest suppressed the shock in his heart and tried his best to speak calmly. Please pass the city inspection. After entering the city, do not do anything subjective. You must follow my mother is watching everything in the dark. Yes. East City District. A watery membrane completely sealed off the area. The candle burning in the street lamp was not a dark candle, but it did not look like a normal candle either. It smelled like a corpse oil candle. There was indeed no pollution in the air, but there was a strange smell mixed with it. In addition to the corpse oil smell, there was also a fishy smell from the deep sea. Although it was very faint, the knights, who had experienced the bitter experience of the English Channel, could still accurately identify it. At the same time, there was a feeling of death. It was like a dead city that had been abandoned for 100 years. Olivia, what do you think? Just as the believer said, the pollution has been completely removed. Mother, who controls the title deed of London, has taken the initiative to remove the darkness here. However, the method used to remove the pollution was not a holy purification, but a method similar to fighting poison with poison. Through marine pollution that does not belong to the city of London, the dark pollution that originally covered this place was washed away. At the same time, death was used. Through a rather unique death ability, the remaining pollution was completely annihilated. Commander Alex should be very familiar with these corpse oil lamps on both sides of the road. They are a manifestation of death and very exquisite. The great demon felt the long-awaited environment without any pollution and whispered, in other words, it does meet our requirements? Yes, this method of removal and overall layout is, to a certain extent, more effective than holy purification. The corpse oil candles can continuously burn away the pollution in the air. There is no need to arrange for holy knights to clean the streets every day. At the same time, it can allow Commander Alex and his Knights of Destiny to jointly manage the death in this area. It can remove the pollution and also serve as a form of protection. In addition, my divine domain has already covered the entire area. I did not discover any deliberate array. This time, the hybrid demons should be sincerely inviting us into the city. My guess is that they will borrow our strength for some big event. This will require you, great demon, to ask Mother for the purpose in the follow-up negotiations. The great demon nodded and turned to the chief priest. May I ask, did the arrangements here come from the hands of the bishop? Yes, Lord Bishop can be considered half a human. He is very concerned about your arrival. That's right, Lord Bishop has also arranged a meeting. At that time, Mother, as well as the founder of our Black Moon Church, Father Lysos, will participate and discuss a matter with your representatives. When all of you have moved into London, the meeting will be held at the Palace of Westminster. Half a human? May I ask, is this bishop currently here? Can I meet him? Lord Bishop is currently working at the church's headquarters. We will naturally meet at the meeting later. Chapter 1287. The eastern part of the city was not only planned as a pollution-free area. At the same time, the city was not limited to some of the rules of London, such as the free use of light sources. The Expeditionary Army officially entered the city. After crossing the water membrane, they stepped into the city without any pollution. All the knights felt a sense of relief. Some of them even cheered on the spot, and some of them even had hallucinations. At this moment, their spirit value increased wildly to offset the remaining pollution in their bodies. After being exposed to the eternal night for 2 years, every night was under considerable psychological pressure. As there were enough empty rooms in the city to accommodate 10,000 people, the allocation of each night's residence was completed easily. The members of the Raven Whisper team were allocated rooms in an apartment-style building. Mia was assigned a very good guest room and was jumping up and down on the soft bed. Abel was checking the water quality in the bathroom of the master bedroom, preparing to wash away the dust and negative emotions that had accumulated along the way. When he stared at the normal water flowing from the pipe, he would reveal a smile from the bottom of his heart. Such a pollution-free resting area was too important for everyone. Half an hour later, Abel, wrapped in a bath towel, walked out of the bathroom and looked at another young man by the windowsill. The water quality is completely fine. It's even equipped with a steam system. I haven't had such a hot bath for a long time. Dimps, hurry up and take a bath. It's rare to have such a chance to rest during the journey. Dimps did not care at all. The journey was not stressful or tiring for him. At present, he was more interested in the pollution-free area that was established in advance. Abel, don't you feel that the atmosphere here is a bit familiar? This sentence made Abel's ears suddenly stand up. What do you mean familiar? Death aura, water, and the steam machine you just mentioned. The knights have not yet arrived in London, but everything is already prepared here. Even if the hybrid demons are willing to accept us, it's only a neutral level. Moreover, the invitation letter we received was from the old king of the distant starry sky, and not from the king of London. This kind of treatment is a bit too good. It's possible that an acquaintance has arranged everything for the knights in advance. Could it be Nicholas? At that time, he was forced to stay in Toad City after completing the Prometheus incident. Could it be that he came to London ahead of time, under the recommendation of the Bufo? However, no matter what, Nicholas was only an ordinary knight. If you want to carry out such a large-scale reform in the 14th district of London, you must have obtained a lot of authority in London, right? Later, the captains will have a meeting. We'll naturally know who is helping us in the dark. Perhaps it really is a friendly reception from the hybrid demons. All right, Abel, you should make some preparations. Since we've successfully moved into London, we should make a trip to the Destiny realm in the next 4 months. If it's really Nicholas's doing, I'm afraid we can't keep up with him. Yes. As he spoke, Abel, who had originally planned to have a good sleep, directly did sit-ups on the bed. Dimps continued to lean against the window, sniffing the smell of corpse oil in the air. He looked at the Black Death aura that was rising continuously in the city across the city wall. Nicholas, it seems like you've had a lot of experiences during this period. Central District large-scale demolition had been carried out here in advance. A large number of original buildings were razed to the ground. It was just right for the Expeditionary Army's marching fortress, including Endless Energy, Demon King's Castle, Scarlet Hospital, Mobile Sanctum, and other supporting small fortresses. This situation also made the captains quite confused. It deepened the captain's curiosity about the identity of the bishop. What kind of hybrid demon would actually consider the state of the Expeditionary Army? The meeting will be held in an hour. May I ask who will be in charge of the meeting? We need to register in advance and go through a security check before the meeting. No weapons or dangerous items are allowed. After all, the mother's body will also be in the meeting. We need to eliminate the risks. The 4 of us will be in the meeting. The knights had already discussed the decision. The 4 captains would be the Great Demon, Misfortune, Malone, Hell, Shea, Scarlet, and Olivia, Saint. The number 1 combat power, Death, would stay in the area to ensure safety. At the same time, Captain Jaros, Sorcerer God, would also stay here. Together with the Sorcerer God Knights, they would build a perfect embedded barrier on the basis of the water barrier to further ensure the safety of the resting area. Before the meeting, please restrain your domain. If you make the mother unhappy, the meeting will be difficult to progress. Okay, first, they went to the headquarters of the church corresponding to Big Ben. The 4 captains were checked inside and out at least twice. The weapon of destiny had been stored in the residence in advance. Everything was correct. Under the lead of the chief priest, they went to the Black Conference Room on the top floor of the Palace of Westminster. According to the Code of London, only when the emissary of the mythical body came to visit would they discuss here. The fact that the captains could be summoned by the mother and have a meeting here was enough to show how much importance the mother placed on humans. Or perhaps someone above asked her to do so. Extreme darkness. The moment the chief priest opened the door of the conference room. Darkness poured out like a liquid, erasing all light sources and temporarily depriving the captains of their vision. Such darkness came from the mother's domain. It was a unique way of welcoming guests. The captains did not reject it at all. They adjusted their perception to the maximum and stepped into the conference room at the same time. Are there 3 participants in London? Their radar-like perception immediately got the details of the conference room. On the master seat opposite the conference table was the source of all the darkness, the holder of the city of London's title deed, the mother of the night. In addition, sitting on both sides of the mother were her right-hand men. One of them was the founder of the Bishop of the Black Moon, Father Lysos, who was mentioned by the chief priest. The darkness emitted by the priest was completely different from the mother's in characteristics. What a powerful, mythical body. Its strength must be higher than the mythical bugs in Minano City. Is this Father Lysos? The chief priest only mentioned that the mother and the priest would attend the meeting. Is the third person in charge of the construction of pollution-free areas the bishop? When the great demon captain wanted to use his perception to detect the identity, he was immediately swallowed by the darkness. The mysterious bishop was also wearing a cloak, so it was impossible to determine his identity. As the captains took their seats one after another, the mother's voice overflowed from the darkness, as if she was whispering in the ears of every captain. Welcome to my city, captains. My lord has always held a neutral and even more optimistic attitude towards humans. Therefore, as his most loyal servant, I will treat you with the same attitude. The content of this meeting is mainly to discuss the London game that will be coming in 4 months. You will also be the main participants of this game. The bishop will explain the details and related arrangements. In addition, the bishop will be mainly responsible for the affairs of your knights in the city of London in the future. Thus, the focus of the meeting fell on the mysterious bishop on the right side of the mother. A standard British-English voice came from under the cloak. Cough, cough. Captains, long time no see. This time, I will explain the details of the London game. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This voice, Ma Long and Xiaoyu immediately recognized the familiarity of his words. The mysterious bishop no longer covered himself. He took off his hood, revealing a thin young face. Huh! Malone directly sat on the high-purity black crystal chair and exploded it. Shea was also too shocked, blood oozing out of her 7 orifices. The white veil on Olivia's face slowly slid down. Her mind immediately connected to the relevant situation in the East District. All the relevant doubts were solved, but there were more questions. Her prejudice towards Han Dong was also undergoing a drastic change. The great demon captain did not move. He stared at the ordinary knight who appeared in such an occasion as a bishop. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.